Snow fell cold on a bitter night. John was gone for the morning light. They blame Karen, but it don't sit right. Too many secrets hid from sight. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town. Proctor's story shifts and sways. Cameras vanish, records fade. The Alberts toast while the doubts grow strong. The folks still fight, won't be long. Oh, the badge runs deep, the law runs thin. They stack the deck, but truth won't bend. The judge looks away, the truth gets drowned. Ain't no justice in Canton Town.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to this afternoon's coverage of The Friendless Firefighter Looking for a Story. I had to dip out for the last 40 minutes or so because I had a HOA meeting. But here's we zurücke. And Big Dog is saying, can't wait till we can get the Best of Baker on CD. Well, it'll be right out after I do my last 40 numbers to be on it. But you actually can buy some of them on, because I'm a grifter. Well, you can hear me sing Barbie Girl sometimes.
It's one of his favorites.
As I gather from what I can see around the places and what Marissa told me, object, defense dementia, object, defense dementia.
Yes, and Bev covered for the fact that she lied in the first trial.
Well, it's not that important.
But we did learn that she told the other two paramedics the I hit him part while they were in the back of the ambulance.
She said that the first time as well, and then they were asked, and they said, "No, I heard it as the only one," and the other one said, "No, I heard it as the only one," because they all three had different stories. One heard it while he was sitting at the head, trying to stabilize the neck. That was not all, Mister. I want to be the lead in this story. The other one said, "I was standing and looking Karen in the eyes, and she said it, and you can see her running around like a headless chicken, so it couldn't have happened." All of their stories were debunked by the dash cam video they tried to use to prove the story. And we know that unless an officer will perjure himself on the stand, he will then come up and say, well, I didn't hear her say anything like that, and no one informed me that she had said it. And I love that 3 times have turned into 4 times. Who also did that? Jen turned it into 4 times.
Weird.
Who is singing the opening song? It's Suno. It's an AI program I use to write my music because I have no skills. So I get some. I'm this bad grifter because some days, as you can see, I shipped all my gifts out yesterday that I gave away 3 weeks ago. Because what do I use my mornings for? Do my office work, write my accountant.
Children's books. Oh.
No, send out all the stuff I promised people. No, I write stupid children's books and make songs because I am slightly soft in the head. I would like to point out that Beveridge sent the jury to a 45, 60-minute break to come back for less than 2 hours of testimony. She's wet and wild. Baker, do you know Brandon? Yeah, nice guy. You remember that old rule you have? Yeah, always read it before you pull it up. Do you forget that a lot? Yeah, you kind of do. Does he get you and say inappropriate things about a 75-year-old woman? Yeah, he
several times
does.
a day. Yeah, several times a day.
But he starts so well, and you're thinking, "Oh, this is very interesting." No, it was just a setup to make me say that Beveridge was wet and wild.
Checks out.
Thank you, Brandon. And can I just say, you know my favorite law enforcement officer?
Proctor?
No, my favorite.
Oh, Kathy Daffer.
Kathy and the Daffer. She has become a YouTube grifter herself.
She has been.
Do you see anything?
45 watching. That's pretty nice.
Look a little bit higher.
Day 10 is wrong. The John O'Keefe case.
Yeah, well, you can say that, but she's watching tomorrow's testimony with her 45 viewers.
How's she doing that?
Well,
9.
Back when she single-handedly took down the cartels. She was the one
I've heard.
Allegedly who pulled the trigger on Pablo Escobar. And little known fact that might not be true.
Little known.
I might have sent a hit squad after her now from Colombia. Well, allegedly she did. I made it up. But back then, how did she set up all these cartels and ruin them? By always being a day off in the calendar. So she wrote, "Oh, we're gonna raid them Monday," and then she raided them Sunday.
Maybe she's just that good. Maybe she's able to time travel and catch them in the act the day after it happens. Maybe that's what.
Yeah.
Court is back in session. You may be seated.
Baker left out the part of his day where he swims in the grift vault like Scrooge McDuck. Hey. Sidebar. Yeah, go up there and say, "They opened the door. Let us show the effing pictures." Paul O'Keefe seems to be nursing a permanent hangover. He seems like he's very red in his head. He looks like we have this roided out guy in my old gym, and he looks just like him. And he had some severe anger problems as well.
I would go ahead and venture and say that in order to be hungover, you have to sober up at some point.
Yeah,
and I don't think there's a whole lot of that happening in Canton, Mass. I think they just kind of stay drunk.
My favorite commentator, Sue from Boston. She's crying that she gets harassed online, kind of like the bitch boy.
Poor Sue.
Paul is trying to move in on John's ex-wife. Yeah. Yeah, I heard that Lesko won Mod of the Year on Caffey Daffy's channel.
That sounds appropriate.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's I don't know. She's been dual streaming with Plevin, so I don't know if she does it every day or they just meet up when the IQ level falls so low they couldn't light a diode. But yeah, it's they swapped out the Dunning-Kruger Caffey Daffy Taffy for the Smexy Pedro Pascal. Good call. Thanks, Netflix. I'm not. I might be in the minority here, but I don't think Pedro Pascal is that good of an actor. And right now he's kind of getting the Wolverine treatment where he's in everything, and he just doesn't fit it. I really liked him of Game of Thrones, that suave, arrogant heel type.
Yeah.
With a good side.
What the hell was he? He was the Prince.
He was Prince Oberyn.
Oberyn? Yeah, I nailed it.
And he has that cool suave around him, maybe even Swayze. But I liked Narcos. I thought it was a great series, but I don't know. I didn't buy him. I love Benicio del Toro in Sicario, and what's the other one? Sicario 2, probably. He's a cool guy. He seems realistic.
He was in Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas.
Don't think I ever saw that.
That's a great one. Johnny Depp's in that one too.
Yeah, I think it's one of those where you need a little herbal action to really enjoy it.
That could be, I guess. It's a great movie.
Yeah, he was in The Mandalorian, and I haven't had Disney TV in a lot of years, but because I didn't, taking his helmet off was kind of wrong, kind of like Judge Dredd with Stallone. Some people just need their helmet on. Thank you, Rainy Day, for becoming a YouTube member. Have you been to that spot where we are going to have the Friday Night Live in?
I haven't
Knoxville?
been there, but I've seen the.
Oh, you only seen it.
Video.
After a few VC searches, I would play Naked Twister with Daffy and Beverage. Try and remove the badge of one, and then the rope without your toes curling. Oh, White Claw searches. I thought, are you going to the toilet?
Send you back to the jury room. We'll see you in 10 minutes.
Oh.
All rise, please. Jurors, close your notebooks. Follow me.
They are having a whole lot of discussion. Always on time in this trial. Did Ralphie get a good score? Oh, she did. 89% persuasion.
Nice.
Who's up next?
Ralphie.
I think it's still the friendless firefighter. Right?
Could be. I didn't hear you. I'm sorry. I'm paying attention to something else.
Is it the friendless firefighter who's up next? Is she still up? Is what I mean.
No, she's done. She's done.
Oh, she's done.
She's done.
Oh. I thought I misunderstood what Marissa told me.
I could be wrong, I guess. I thought they finished up.
Yeah, well, I thought they had finished up with that boring lady they started with today. He probably wants to show more clips that's inadmissible. Normally they do that in open court without the jury present. How many firefighters do we need? Well, we need Flamati and Nuttall and McLaughlin.
Nuttall already went.
Yeah, and Flamati could be the next one. There was one more, right? No, the last one didn't hear shit. There was one of them who didn't hear anything. These teen girl drinks are really, really deceptive because they don't taste like a lot, and then they'll hit you. It's like drinking beers. I had once where we were going somewhere and we were riding in a bus and it was kind of hot. And me and a buddy was just drinking them because they taste like soda. And then when we had to get out and get off the bus after 2 hours, we figured out it was probably going to be a long day because we had pounded a few.
Well, those are always the good long days, though.
Not when you
You're
have to
drunk by
spend
10
4
a.m.?
hours. It was some 4 hours thing. I think it was a company retreat and with kids, and it was really hard to find a place to sleep in the shade because apparently it's not approved of by the women that we got really, 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 really drunk at 10 in the morning. Wives.
Ugh. Sorry. Spaceballs, great movie.
I love it. They're using the Afro comb because it's the black stormtroopers. Kevin Albert is trending. That's weird. Well, it's been trending a lot. Did I spell what wrong? I'm packing for red rocks and trying to hide the claws. Can you imagine growing up with the last name Not All? Poor thing. Yeah. Especially when he has that I want to be the lead person syndrome. Thank you, Tammy Fayette, for gifting a Valhalla Await membership.
Thank you, Tammy. I appreciate it. You're amazing.
Good thing. Are you setting up your goat stream? Is that why you're so preoccupied?
No, sorry. I'm trolling Calf and Dapper. My bad.
Well, yeah.
She hasn't responded to any of my comments yet.
No, she never does with me either, and I talk a lot of shit to her. Roosbros is what we call them, meaning intoxication soda. Yeah. Well, we have some of them is called Kult Shaker. That was the first one we can get. Kult is an energy drink in Denmark, and there was this one of the first, reality TV stars in Denmark called Sidney Lee. RIP. He passed away. Apparently, coke and roids isn't good for you. Just look at all the wrestlers. Who would have thought? But he called them SOBs. Well, he said the full name. So if you order an SOB at a bar, you will get one of those. It's just become common vernacular. That's the name of those drinks. I have some black marks. What the hell is that from? I don't know what it is. Maybe it's... No, the rumble is up. I don't know. I just cracked open a peanut shell and it was a 4 peanut. Yes, it's going to be a good day. Hey, Santiago Garcia Jr. Yeah, the wine coolers were the prototype, and then they found out they are too sour, so we can't get young women to drink them, and then they invented the other ones. No, not cool, but cult, like a cult. Alky-Paps. You still get them at 16 here. As long as it's below 14%, you can buy it from your 16. Danny G has been blocked 3 times by Cafe Daffy.
Kate Peters is running Calf and Dapper's stream right now.
What? Put it on the screen.
It's Kate Peters. She's the only one on the stream.
Well, nothing spells accomplished agent, maybe the best in the nation, single-handedly took down the cartels, ruined the Mau Mau movement, and finished off apartheid. Like having a multiple indicted, previously convicted criminal to run your channel. I think she has convictions as well.
She's talking shit.
We'll put it on the screen. Let's stream snipe. Would it be mean if I called ICE on the local?
She called me a Nazi. She called me a Nazi.
Just the truth. Just the truth. Yeah. Okay, but yeah, I bet Valhalla is really, really, really red pilled too. I bet he's a really, really based and cool guy.
I got
you're
He
blocked.
has really strong opinions about women.
Oh, you're a misogynist.
Clearly.
Welcome in the club, brother. Well, no one go over there and say Valhalla is
Guys,
clearly
want
not a
people to keep
misogynist.
That kind.
Yo, here we go. Hold
Let's go
on.
over
We're gonna
agents.
do this. Fuck this lady. I'm over this shit. Here we go. Paste. Here's the link in chat. I gotta get to Mo and Baker's streams. Go over there. Say Valhalla's the shit. And
Yeah.
his panties aren't crusty.
Please don't harass anyone, and please don't do anything we wouldn't allow, or we don't recommend harassing anyone. But if you feel that Valhalla is not a racism or a misogynist, I don't know. And maybe tell her that when she was sitting on her fat ass, shitting out babies where she couldn't even take care of them, Valhalla spent his time in the desert fighting for her freedom.
Oh, where's Mo's chips? There it is. I was like, where the hell's Mo's at? All right, hold on. We're getting there.
Yeah, the one over in the chat saying he was hating women was probably the Valkyrie.
Oh shit. Where'd it go? I pulled it down. I got rid of the stream. Oh, I'm not subbed. Oh. I was impressed that she called me a Nazi. I was pretty impressed with that. That was a good one.
I bet you she doesn't know what it is. Danny G got timed out. Please don't harass anyone because that's against YouTube's TOS. I can't highly enough recommend absolutely do nothing to harass people. But if you have a knowledge about Valhalla and you want to share it with the world, please do. I don't recommend harassing anyone.
It's not harassment. We're just clarifying a misstatement. That's all. In no way are we harassing.
No, but we don't stream snipe and stream bump. And is she losing her mind yet?
Yeah.
And the best thing, it's on Caffey Daffy's stream.
That is the best.
So she's gonna come back and say, "Oh, I had a lot of engagement." Oh,
Super chat, let's go. You dumb bitch.
I don't know what. I can't see it because I have to have this running. What did Brandon tell her?
Outstanding.
What did Brandon tell her?
Let's go says Valhalla Waits taught me how to. Oh, they deleted the comment. Let's
They
go. You better
deleted the
charge
super
back.
chat.
You better charge that back.
Yeah.
Court is back in session. You may be seated.
I apologize for that, folks. Nobody likes wasting your time.
Yes, you do.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Smont.
Paul Gallagher.
Paul Gallagher.
Oh, that makes me so happy. Thank you, chat. Thank you.
Just how much right now, let's give it a court and get her in the case down here. Truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God. I do. Thank you.
Good afternoon.
Your Honor.
All right, Mr. Brennan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, sir. Could you please introduce yourself to the jury?
Thank you,
Yes,
Chad.
my name is
Thank
Paul
you.
Gallagher.
For the court reporter, would you mind spelling your last name?
Oh, this guy.
Gallagher.
Mr. Gallagher, do you presently work?
As a police officer, I'm retired.
When did you retire?
August 31st, 2024.
When you retired, what department were you working for?
Canton Police Department.
How many years had you worked for the Canton Police Department upon your retirement?
I was credited with 32 years, 8 months of service.
Did you have a particular rank when you retired?
Yes, I was a lieutenant.
I want to go back to the beginning of your law enforcement career and share your background with the jury. When did you begin your career in law enforcement?
I became a permanent intermittent police officer in Canton in 1992. What a permanent intermittent police officer is, it's basically a part-time police officer. You're required to attend a 16-week part-time academy. Your duties include regular patrol duties that a regular police officer would do, but you're only utilized during special events, short staffing, and you're allowed to work paid traffic details.
Did that status change at some point?
It did in 1994.
1994, were you a patrolman?
Yes, and that required me to attend a full-time 18-week police academy.
That ticks me off because you're a kind, sweet, decent man who makes the world a better place. Thank you, Tammy. I do what I can. She's accusing me over there of being disrespectful. Let me read the comment that she claims was disrespectful really quick. I wrote, I wonder if it's something to do with Miss McLaughlin lying about her PTSD claims. That was it. That was what I wrote that got me timed out.
Swear to our funds, because this is the one that the solo cups and leaf blowers were great ideas. Yeah, this is going to be a long slog, and it's probably going to last the rest of the day. Yay! Thank you, Jess.
In addition to the police academy, did you continue your training over the years?
Yes, I did.
Can you share with the jury some of the training that you would attend over the years?
Oh, sure. So I did constitutional law. I did interview and interrogation, terrorism, international terrorism, domestic violence, buccal swabbing, and DEA basic narcotics course. And last duties were I did background checks, so I attended background training, and I did internal affairs.
Before I talk a little bit more about your experience over the years and your progress through the Canton Police Department, I'd like you to share with us generally and briefly the structure of the Canton Police Department. The Canton Police Department, how big is it? How many officers are typically employed by Canton at the same time?
We would like to have 45, but unfortunately, we're short-staffed at this time.
At the Canton Police Department, is there different ranks?
There is.
And what are they?
They are patrol, sergeant, detective sergeant, lieutenant, deputy chief, and chief.
Given the size of Canton, is it a small department or a typically large department for that size?
I would say it's a
There's the-
medium-sized
Well, he
department.
had a sick day.
Is Canton, do you receive traffic from other areas nearby?
There's the comment that got me
Is
banned.
Boston part of the crossroads of Canton at times?
It is Route 138, runs from Boston, and it goes all the way down to the South Shore through Brockton, Taunton, et cetera.
Other cities or towns nearby that bring traffic through Canton as far as law enforcement is concerned?
They do, and other states, 95 runs through Canton as well and brings up traffic from Rhode Island.
For a relatively small town, is Canton a busy police department given all the crossroads and intersections?
It can be very busy at times.
That was the disrespectful
You
comment.
mentioned in Canton that there are different ranks. You started as a patrol officer. Did
Yes.
that change at some point?
It did.
When?
July of 2001, I became a detective.
Did you have any particular or special training to become a detective?
I started attending how to dust fingerprints. My focus was narcotics. I had several narcotics classes.
Did you engage in those type of investigations on behalf of Canton?
I did.
Did you work with other agencies?
I did in 2005. I started working with the Drug Enforcement Administration in 2006. I was assigned as a task force officer for the DEA, initially out of Worcester Tactical Diversion Squad, which their mission goal was to eradicate OxyContin and oxycodone.
They blocklisted your name. Oh,
That's amazing. Oh, that's amazing. Go with Goat Daddy.
Valhalla,
Daddy.
do you know one of the few rules I have for my mods? What they are? when we have trolls, and we get a lot of trolls now and again, is only if they go across a certain line I have set, do we time them out. We don't outright block them. It takes a lot to get a block.
It
I
says
think
that I might be timed out. In all fairness, I can't really tell.
no. He said you can't mention you're on the blockchain. Your name can't be spelled.
Interesting.
So, but I
Interesting.
have a few words because, of course, you do. You don't want the N word and stuff like that in your chat.
Sure.
But I have that rule that if trolls come by, I would rather make fun of Kimmy until it's kind of apparently someone kind of got annoying earlier.
Betty's
But-
over there spelling my name in every which way she can.
Please don't harass anyone.
That's
Distribution
so
at that
funny.
time was during our oxycodone phase. In 2008, I was moved to Boston division, and there we focused on all narcotics, not just oxycodone, heroin, cocaine, etc.
How many years did you spend as a detective before you received your next promotion?
Approximately 15 years.
What happened next in your career as far as progress?
I took the sergeant's exam, and I became a sergeant.
In order to become a sergeant, do you have to pass an exam?
No,
Every exam and
I'm
assessment,
equal
yes.
Is
opportunist.
that enough to become a sergeant, or is there another process you have to go through?
There's Paul trolls out there too.
That's where they rank you after the exam and the assessment.
What year did you say you became a sergeant?
Became a sergeant in 2017.
Was that your first supervisory position?
Not actually. I also worked as an officer in
That's
charge,
so funny.
which you're not technically a sergeant, but when there is no sergeant to fill the shift, they'll use experienced officers to work as a sergeant and receive sergeant's pay.
How long did you work as a sergeant for at the Canton Police Department?
I worked as a sergeant for 1 year till 2018, and I was promoted to detective sergeant.
As a sergeant, did your duties change or expand from that of detective?
I was still assigned to the Drug Enforcement Administration at that time.
And you just shared a year later you were promoted to lieutenant. Did you have to take and pass an exam for that?
That was detective sergeant, and I did not have to pass a test for that.
Did your duties and responsibilities expand when you became lieutenant?
Yes, I was brought out of the DEA to work in Canton specifically.
Were there other lieutenants on the Canton Police Department when you worked as a lieutenant?
I became a lieutenant in 2021. At the time, there was 3 other lieutenants.
Were there any other officers above lieutenant at that point?
There was a deputy chief and a chief.
In 2022, January, were you a lieutenant?
I was.
Your duties and responsibilities, do they include actually going to scenes, or was it purely supervisory?
It was supervisory, but we were expected to respond to scenes.
What do you mean by that?
Our chief expected a supervisor on scene at all times, at all scenes.
Even if there was a ranking supervisor?
Are you a
like sergeant,
decorated
you still, as
veteran?
lieutenant, expected to go to scenes?
I
Oh,
am
yes.
indeed.
Did you do that often?
Yes.
I want you to take us to January 29th, 2022. Were you working the overnight shift from January 28th, 2022 into January 29th, 2022?
I was the outgoing lieutenant. I did not work into the 29th. I was the last lieutenant to work on the 28th.
In the early morning hours, around 6 a.m., were you on shift or off shift?
I was off shift.
Were you planning on working that morning?
I was planning on working later that day, yes.
Do you remember what the weather was like that early morning?
Yes, there was a nor'easter, which was snow, wind.
Did anything interrupt your plan of working later that day?
Yes.
Tell us what happened.
Shortly after 6 a.m., I received a call from Sergeant Sean Good of the Canton Police Department.
After you received a call from Sergeant Sean Good, were you informed about a situation?
I was.
Were you told any basic details of where and what?
Yes.
Without sharing the actual conversation, where was this situation taking place?
I misunderstood the situation. I thought it was on Meadows Ave in Canton. I later found out through dispatch that it was actually Fairview Road.
When you heard that there was a situation in Canton, did you decide to change your plans about when you would come in?
Yes, I responded.
Why did you respond?
That's the expectation our chief had for us.
When you go into work, do you use a police cruiser or do you use your personal vehicle?
On this particular day, I used a personal vehicle because of the weather.
Was that different than typical?
Yes.
And why would you use a personal vehicle instead of a police cruiser?
It was larger. It was 4-wheel drive. It was the only way I probably would have got there to the scene.
Did you ever do hazardous driving training? Did you have? Were you a driver in the
Me?
military? No,
I was a driver. Oh.
You were a driver.
I was, yeah.
Yeah, you got terrain maneuver training with vehicles, right?
More tactics, but yeah.
Well, we get those where you learn how to drive on an embankment and go over and all of that. We have seen the videos, you freaking moron. If I didn't have the 4-wheel drive, there's probably no way I could ever get out there. I could get there on a bicycle with one eye closed. and I don't ride a bicycle because I'm fat and my back hurts. I hate that he has to put that on. Oh, it's the only way I could get there with a. Oh, shut up.
After you received the call about a situation, tell us what you did.
I loaded up the car with a tent, and I drove to the Canton Police Department, and I got some winter gear from the office, and I got on the radio and advised Sergeant Sean Good, who was at the scene on Fairview, that all officers were held to further notice.
What does that mean?
They weren't going to be going home at their end of the shift.
YouTube actually doesn't like, and there's a lot of people have started doing this where they're directly streaming. LNC can't technically do anything, but if they don't add commentary, YouTube will actually strike channels. It happened to Trial TV Live. They took their monetization away because it's just a restream channel then. So if you don't do like I do and annoy the heck out of people by interrupting, you can actually lose your monetization because then you're just a restreaming channel. So YouTube struck that a couple of months ago when Trial TV Live started they had like 2 or 3 cases a day running at the same time, and they got struck because all of this restreaming. But there's a lot of people who just put up the feed, and YouTube, if they don't ding it, they don't ding it. But it's actually against TOS.
Until they were relieved by another supervisor.
Why did you take a tent with you?
Because of the snow, the way the call was described to me was a person possibly not breathing. And if it was an unattended death, I wanted to be able to cover the person.
Why?
Respect.
That tent was a tent from your home, a personal tent?
It was an 8x8 pop-up tent.
You went to the Canton Police Department first before you went to the scene?
I did.
No, it's not a copyright, but it's a TOS problem. That's why Valhalla got demonetized last year for streaming with me, because I carry the stream. So they think he's just restreaming my stream, even though he's participating in my stream.
Why did you go to the Canton Police Department first?
I had some winter gear there, including a reflective jacket that I thought would be helpful, given it was dark out. Visibility was very bad.
When you got to the Canton Police Department, did you learn anything from any of your colleagues while at the police department?
The only one colleague at the police department at that time was Officer Kelly Dever.
Okay. After you got your gear at the Canton Police Department, did you head towards Fairview?
I did.
Other than the general description that you had heard, did you know anything about what was going on there?
Just that a gentleman was found unconscious in the snow, possibly not breathing.
You mentioned the term unintended death. What does that mean?
An unattended death is a death where someone dies alone, and you don't know the reason. It doesn't mean there's foul play. In fact, 99% of the time, it's natural causes.
Is there a process for the Canton Police Department when they learn of any death, unintended or not? Is there a process you need to follow?
Yes, there is.
And what is that process?
That's to call the Norfolk County DA's office, their CPAC unit, Crime Prevention and Control. They have jurisdictions over deaths and unattended deaths.
You mentioned a CPAC unit. What type of officers or law enforcement is the CPAC unit?
It's manned by the Massachusetts State Police.
Are you required by statute to contact CPAC or the Massachusetts State Police, even if it's an unintended death?
Yes.
Did you follow that process?
Sergeant Lank followed that process.
Is that one of the officers who worked under you?
Yes, that is correct.
Did you know if Sergeant Lank was at the scene when you were leaving Canton, or did you learn at some point when you got there whether Sergeant Lank was at Fairview?
When I got there, I saw the black Toyota Tundra, which is operated by our detectives there, and then I saw him.
When Canton Police Department first contacted the Massachusetts State Police or the CPAC unit about the information, do you have an understanding whether or not the Massachusetts State Police were going to respond or not?
They were not responding.
So when you got to Fairview Road, were there any other law enforcement officers other than Canton police officers?
No, there was not.
When you appeared at Fairview Road or arrived, were you the superior officer on the scene?
I was highest ranking officer.
As you're pulling up to Fairview that morning, what's the first thing you see when you get there?
As I pull up, I see the last of the fire apparatus pulling away. I get out of the vehicle. The first one I encountered was Sergeant Sean Good, who was the shift supervisor.
Did you see any other of your officers there?
I did. I saw Lieutenant Lank further down, and further down I saw 2 other cruisers, which ended up
I like it. It's professional, but still has a little bit color to it.
being Officer Mullaney and Officer Saraf.
Did any of the cruisers or vehicles have lights on?
They did.
Did you hear any sirens?
No, there wouldn't be any sirens.
Why wouldn't there be?
Sirens are used to move traffic. There was no traffic. It was a blizzard. There were no cars on the road. You might see an occasional plow.
Did you ever learn the general area where the person was found?
Yes,
At that time, did you know who the person was?
I did. I knew him by name, yes.
Did someone inform you of who the person was?
Sergeant Sean Good did, yes.
Okay. And who was the person that you learned was on the ground?
John O'Keefe.
Had you known John O'Keefe?
I knew of John O'Keefe. I had never met John O'Keefe.
When you first arrived at Fairview, was Mr. O'Keefe still on the ground?
He was not.
Was he at the scene?
Probably a clip
He
on.
was not.
So when you got to the scene at Fairview, Mr. O'Keefe was already gone?
I
Yes,
like
he had been
the
transported to
subtle
the hospital.
So did
little
you ever
nod to
firsthand
Thin Blue
see
Line.
exactly where Mr. O'Keefe was lying when he was found?
I did not.
Did anybody point out to you the general area?
Yes.
Did you have a chance at that point to, well, obviously you didn't have a chance to examine or look at Mr. O'Keefe. Did you have a chance to look in the general area where you were told he was found?
I did.
Tell us a little bit more about the weather now that you're standing outside Fairview Road. What's the visibility like? What's the temperature like? What are the conditions like?
Just look at the dash camera and do the enhanced version that you've all of a sudden played, because there was no water on the windshield. The video you showed from the scene where she was running around the car. Funny how you have 2 different versions you play.
So it was terrible. It was blizzard-like. The wind would blow in your face. It would change directions. The snow was an icy.
He's a retired cop, and he probably rode a desk for a lot of years, so he probably used to wear a tie. I like his tie, and it's not. It's a classic knot. A lot of people
It might
try
be a
to
clip
do.
on. It might be.
No,
a
I
clip.
don't think it's a clip-on. He would never.
It
have
might be.
No,
It
I don't
might
think.
be.
Not if you see the no.
Snow.
He's well
in
put
the
together.
wind, you had to actually talk loud to be heard. Somebody right next to you, and it was your typical New England blizzard, basically.
At this point, did you
You're
have
pussies in New
any
England. Then.
position as you assessed the area, whether this was a criminal investigation?
When we had no crime at that time.
When you were there, were you looking for anything?
Yes, I was examining the scene.
At that point, did you have any
I'm telling you.
reason to start a criminal investigation?
Not at that time, no.
When you learned,
So you had no reason to start a criminal investigation on a body that's very clearly was hit by a car, because the shoe was found at the scene. He was missing a shoe, which told Proctor that this guy had been hit by a car, because it happens in every car strike he has ever heard about. That's why he towed the car before he ever talked to Karen Reed. That's why.
Wall too.
Yeah, and that's why Bukaki was talking about being hit in the face with a cocktail glass, but they still towed the car 6 hours later. This guy, who has the most experience in the world, came to the scene, saw John O'Keefe, and didn't immediately think he was hit by a car. We didn't have a crime at that time. He knew he was dead. Everyone at the scene knew he was dead. It doesn't matter that he has to officially be dead in the bed at 85 degrees. But it's such a stupid thing, because either it's the most clear hit and run ever, or It's the most what the fuck hit and run ever.
That Mr. O'Keefe was found outside. Did you go look at the particular area?
Yes.
Can
No,
you
but he
describe
found out
the
he missing
area
a
that was
shoe.
shown
That's the
to
same
you
Proctor
where
thought
Mr.
about.
O'Keefe was found.
Sure. It was on the left side of the property of 34 Fairview. You could see where first responders and witnesses and police officers had walked up to the area. It was by a flagpole on the property line of number 32 Fairview.
What was the lighting condition at that point in that area?
It was dark. It was sun was coming up, but due to the weather and the cloud cover and the snow, its visibility still was not great.
Were the law enforcement vehicles providing any light for the area?
No,
How about the house? Was there any bright lights coming out of the house illuminating that area?
I didn't see any lights, window lights on. There might have been an exterior, the door light at one or two houses.
In addition to the law enforcement officers that were there, did you see any civilians when you got there?
No, there were no civilians there.
While you were outside looking at the area, did any civilians ever come out?
No, not at all.
Any civilians ever come out of 34 Fairview?
No,
How about next door, 32 Fairview? Did you ever see any civilians come out of that address?
nobody ever came out of the house.
Across the street, is there homes across the street from 34 Fairview?
There is.
Did you see anybody come out of either one of those houses?
Did not see anybody come out of those houses.
When you were outside and you were shown the area where you were told Mr. O'Keefe was found, did you try to do anything regarding that area to identify the area itself?
I'm sorry, can you ask that again?
Yes. The area where you were told.
He arrived when there was still emergency vehicles at the scene. I think they had driven John off, and Karen and them had left. But I think I'll have to go look at the
Mr.
spreadsheet.
O'Keefe was found. Did you try to do anything around that area to identify the area?
Well, it was marked out with crime scene tape at that time, and what I saw was pink blood, and it was in a circular pattern.
Was the crime scene tape holding up at all?
No, it was not. It was
So there
blowing
wasn't crime
wildly in the
scene
wind.
tape up. They tried.
And
it
at
didn't
one
work.
point, it was actually blowing in. It was triangular, and it was actually blowing into the crime scene.
Was the tape helping at all?
No, it was not.
Was there any use putting a tent up at that point?
No, there wasn't, not due to the high winds.
Did you learn whether any of the officers had, at any point before you got there, gone into Fairview Road?
Yes,
Who did you learn went into Fairview Road?
both Sergeant Good and Detective Sergeant Lake went into Fairview Road.
Did you know how long they were inside for?
No, it's further to the left. That's just west of the fire hydrant.
Oh, did you know that?
I did not.
At that point, did you go and speak to anybody in any of the nearby homes?
I did not.
When you were at this scene and you saw what was happening in the weather, did you make a decision to do anything?
Yes.
What did you decide you were going to do?
Since the state police were not responding, I decided to process the area where Mr. O'Keefe was found and try to find out why he had the medical episode he was having.
If you understood this to be a medical episode, and at that point you didn't have any information it was a crime scene, why were you taking the time and effort to process the scene under these conditions?
Because that's what we do. Even the hospital, there could be a reason that there's obviously a reason he's there. I think we
medical
have a duty and
episode
obligation to
with
check
the
around
giant gash
where
in the
he
back
was
of his
found
head
and
and the
see if
black
there was
eye
any explanation
and the
to
tore up
what
arm.
caused his medical
The medical
condition.
episode.
Did you focus on a particular area when you decided to look around?
I did.
What area were you going to look at?
Where it was pointed out he was found and where the blood pattern was.
Were you thinking about looking in any other?
Because this guy will say what he needs to hear.
Areas around that?
Not at that time.
Why not?
We didn't have any reason to. We only had the area where he was found.
And at that point, did you have any idea what caused his injuries?
We had none.
At this point, when you were pointed or you're looking at the area where Mr. O'Keefe was found, Was the area getting covered up at all?
Yes, it was.
With what?
Snow.
How quickly?
Very quickly. I believe it was forecasted to come down to 1 to 2 inches an hour, if I recall.
Did you have any idea how hard the ground was at that
It was a
point?
neat way to
It
say
was
that.
frozen.
Yeah.
Did you have any idea?
It was frozen.
He didn't say what actually came down. He said what was forecasted to come
How
down.
deep was the snow covering that frozen ground?
How is he allowed to talk about frozen ground? He didn't test it.
Approximately 4 inches at that time.
When you went to look around the area, did you consider using a rake or a shovel?
I did.
And did you?
I did not.
Why didn't you use a shovel at that point?
I was afraid I would miss something or possibly break something.
What could you break with a shovel?
Anything, glass or anything of that nature.
What was your decision about how you would search that area? What did you want to see?
I wanted to see anything that was possible, whether it was any type of weapon or any type of medical bottle or any reason that he could have come to where he was.
Did you think of a way that you could look below the top of the snow without unresting the scene?
Yes, I did.
And what did you conclude?
Because of the blood, the pink spots I thought might be blood. I thought a leaf blower would be the best method because I have seen it used and to remove light layers of snow, and it can be controlled.
And after having seen that before and making that decision, what was the benefit of a leaf blower over a shovel?
I wasn't going to miss anything with a leaf blower, much better control.
And control, tell us what your intention, what was your hope with the leaf
You
blower?
saw your neighbor
To
clear his
clear the
driveway.
area.
You've
Control
never seen an
slowly.
investigation
So
conducted
any
with it.
potential evidence of what happened to Mr. O'Keefe wouldn't be.
This is such a ridiculous statement that, oh, it's going to be a slow, controlled removal. No, it's going to blow. And
It's going to
I don't
destroy the
think-
crime scene.
yeah, and I don't think it have crime scene settings on the commercial leaf blower he used. So it's just that way. It just washes off one layer after another layer. No, it's just going to blow all the shit around.
I think
destroying
we
the-
should petition the leaf blower companies to make sure that they have a warning label that says not intended for crime scene investigations on it from now on.
Yeah. It's not the American flag they have. They actually have, I think it's the Marine flag.
Lost.
Did you have a leaf blower with you?
Did not.
So what did you do?
Sergeant Good volunteered to go get the leaf blower. Get a leaf blower.
Did you remain at the scene?
I did.
And during this time, are you still have no information that it's a crime scene?
We had no information on a crime at that time.
Did Sergeant?
Yeah, again, if the wind is blowing against you or blowing that hard, you're just either gonna try and counteract the wind, or you're just gonna blow it harder. You can just wait then.
come back with a leaf blower?
He did.
Did you try to get any other items to help you?
Not that I recall.
Okay. When Sergeant Good came back,
It
with the
is
leaf blower, did you use
redonkulous.
it?
I did.
It's
Was it
insane.
successful?
Very.
Tell us what you did.
I started with low speed and began whisking away the snow. And then I saw how it was uncovering those pink spots were becoming brighter red. So I verified it was frozen or coagulated blood at that time. And so out of the abundance of caution, I decided that that was something we may want to collect.
Why did you want to collect that?
Just out of abundance of caution, DNA, I expected it to be John's DNA.
And,
And I wasn't going to get a second chance at it. It was either collect it or never have it.
That's
were you
crazy.
making quick decisions under these circumstances?
Yes,
Did you ask somebody to get a container to put the coagulated blood in?
I ended up getting the containers.
Where did you get them from?
I got them from Lieutenant Gallagher, who lived in the neighborhood.
Did Lieutenant Gallagher ever come over to the scene?
He did not.
Did he work for the Canton Police Department?
He did.
Why didn't he come over to the scene with you?
Because he originally thought the scene was at 32.
Did you ask him to come over to the scene to help you?
No,
Did you expect him to come over to help you?
no,
Did you prefer he not?
correct.
But he's not a civilian. He's not an officer living in the house where you have an emergency outside. You are trying to say, why didn't Brian Albert come out an hour later help with the leaf blowing? Because he should have been out there doing CPR, calling the entire world. Brennan is such a dickwad.
There would have been
So,
nobody
when
better
you
to
get
communicate the
containers, were they
situation
plastic cups?
back
Yes,
to
they
the
were,
police and
red solo
paramedics
cups.
than
And what was
Brian
the
Albert.
purpose of using
Nobody
red
better.
solo
Yeah.
They were plastic. They weren't going to leak. They weren't going to get soggy. They were large. I needed a small sample. My thought was because it was frozen or coagulated, that we could collect it, transport it, and transfer
Yeah, and as someone put in, how did you blow the frozen snow away?
it to the crime lab, who could extract the DNA however they saw best fit.
Do sometimes the crime lab test evidence and sometimes not?
Of course, yes.
Is that your decision?
No.
You were telling us about the leaf blower. Does it serve to excavate the area?
It did.
Did you begin that process?
I did.
And when you did that, did you try to memorialize it?
Yes, I did.
How did you do that?
I had Sergeant Good videotape it.
Why did you have Sergeant Good memorialize your efforts to excavate the area?
I thought someone may wonder why I decided to use a leaf blower, so I wanted to demonstrate its effectiveness.
I'm going to move to introduce 2 videos that council has.
Well, they did tape off the scene, but it didn't work.
So there's no objection to these videos, right?
No, these are ridiculous, stupid videos, so let's see them.
You can't see anything in these except for snow.
Yeah.
With the court's permission, can I show the jury the videos?
Yes.
Ms. Gilman, can we show number 1, please?
I'm losing. This is the stupidest cop ever. Sorry, didn't he say it was so dark out they couldn't see anything because of the cloud coverage?
He did say it was dark. That's why he went back and got his high-vis jacket. Also, do y'all recall when they were talking about wading through knee-high drifts of snow?
Yeah, that's
Over when they picked up Karen's car?
Yeah.
Yeah. Knee-high. Knee-high. That barely covers his boot, the top of his toes.
And he had to use the leaf blower because of the blizzard-like conditions. You know what I don't see in this picture?
Snow falling?
Snow ain't falling in Canton. That's a blizzard. You wussy ass. Use a leaf blower. That's retarded. Contaminate every piece of evidence. Imagine doing this as a cop and having your body film it to post it on your Only Cops webpage instead of knocking on the front door. Yeah, this must be a low light in his career.
No, this actually, I believe, is probably one of the highest points of his career. If I'm being honest.
Yeah, walking around. And again, it's a private leaf blower that has been in someone's garage. It's heavily contaminated. It's going to blow all that dust out over the crime scene. Stupid fucking kids.
Hope that whatever that was wasn't important. Do you see how much snow is underneath that red blood?
I can see grass. 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 This one is laying higher than this grass.
Right. If he was supposed to be there before the snow fell, how is that blood so high up in the snow?
Yeah. It should be soaking down to the ground because there was no snow under him when he fell.
Yeah.
And this is way closer to the this is why I can't get the place right, because this looks way closer to the flagpole than anything else we see.
Is that the fire hydrant?
No, that's a bush with a little bit of leaves on.
Damn
this
it.
is the flagpole.
Yeah.
The fire hydrant.
I can't tell where the road is.
Well, it's 8-10 feet behind him.
You can't get any references from all of their investigation. They don't give you a single reference point.
The only reference point is the flagpole, but you can't tell how big anything is.
It's in a sea of snow. You have no way.
Yeah, you can't tell. Is it 4 feet or is it 40 feet? You can't.
Right.
You can guesstimate.
North, south, east. We don't know. It don't matter.
Danny T. Blood is not kind of hot. Stop your Edward Cullen fantasies.
Giggity, giggity, goo.
Could you, Ms. Gilman, stop at the end of the video so it's a still frame? That's good right there. Sir, who's the person holding the leaf blower?
That is me.
Did the leaf blower work as you had hoped?
It was great.
You see other footprints around that area.
Correct.
Do you know how those footprints got there?
Some of them were from first responders. Some of them were for witnesses. The ones up top by the flagpole were for when the officers put out the crime scene tape.
Did officers try to wrap the crime scene tape around the flagpole?
They did wrap it around the flagpole, yes.
I see. And from that vantage point, could you see the side and front yard?
Yes.
Did the side yard have any footprints or evidence that anything was dragged through the side yard?
No, not at all.
How about the front yard? Did the front yard have any evidence that anybody had walked across it or dragged anything across it?
It had one set of prints from Sergeant Lang.
Other than Sergeant Lang's footprints across the front yard, was there any other impediment?
No, not that I saw.
I'm going to ask if we could see the second video, please, Ms. Gilman.
And I love how he's just walking all over the crime scene.
Right?
Could you stop there, please?
Oh, he's going
You
to
see
say
the
this
end
is
of
tail
the
light.
leaf blower?
I do.
There's an object just below it at like 7 o'clock. Do you see that?
I do.
Did you discover something in that area?
We did.
What did you discover?
It's a cocktail glass.
Was it, did it have any damage to it?
It did.
Describe that for us.
It was broken on the top.
Could you continue the video, please, Ms. Gilman?
How much are you willing to bet that that cocktail glass wasn't destroyed in the impact? Because it would never land the same place. And which hand was he carrying it in? We know he was checking his phone at that time, where they claim he was dead.
If I had to guess, I would say that's probably what busted the back of his head was a glass. But that's just purely my speculation.
Yeah. Oh, fuck, the glass broke. Chuck it out there with him.
Get that thing out of the house. Man, how lucky is this cop too? Just happens to snow blow the exact spot that the glass and the blood are.
Stop, please. There's some red spots. Is that what you identified as coagulated blood?
That is.
Below some of those spots and to the left, there's an area that's not white. It's brownish. Do you know what that is?
That's, I believe, just bare ground.
If we could finish.
Who are all these footmarks from? Why have they walked around in this area?
He said they wrapped the crime scene around the flagpole.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah, that could make sense. But look at these footprints going up here. I could buy if you tie it here and then you tie it out to a car, and then you tie it over at the flagpole. So he said it was a triangle. But then that triangle, if you put the crime scene tape up, shouldn't be blowing into. You can just. It makes less sense.
Finish the video, please. Okay. You have the lights on,
Who's watching my stream?
Did you or any officer at
Mo?
your direction obtain and preserve that broken cocktail
I
glass?
think it's
Yes.
Mo
May I approach
watching
you on
us.
Yes.
Somebody had their phone on still. We hear you, Mo.
Sorry, I'm showing you two photographs. The first photograph, do you recognize what's in that photograph?
I do.
What is it?
It's a after we exposed the broken, I exposed the broken glass.
Is the broken glass depicted in that photograph?
It is.
Yeah,
That's similar,
sorry.
substantially the same way it appeared to you that morning.
That's exactly how it appeared. Yes.
Do you know if that photograph was taken in still in the video or not?
I do not.
Second photograph, you can look at that
That's a close up of the cocktail glass.
of the same photo.
It is. Yes.
I'd move these two photographs into evidence, please.
Okay. Do you want the 52?
I still can't get how they're not allowed to bring in an expert to just say, are you redonkulous using a leaf blower on a crime scene, especially one that wasn't
Lieutenant, what was done with that cocktail glass?
secure?
Okay, can you pause it, Baker? So he said he had seen a leaf blower used this way before.
He didn't
In what
technically he didn't say that. He said that he had seen a leaf blower used to remove snow before. He didn't mention that
Yeah.
it was during an investigation. He didn't say it had anything to do with police work.
Well, I've seen a great many things on Jackass too. Doesn't mean I'm going to stuff myself into a golf or into a grocery cart and go down a hill.
This is why women have no fun. Do the Alberts drink cocktails? I think glass, then go into the home to see what they have. Brandon, you are using logic. Yeah, and where's the snowbank? Remember, Carrie claimed they had to dig him out of it. How does blood rise on top of the snow? Jordan's body was found 30 feet from the road. So why is blood near the curb? Yeah.
Also, you packed up your own pub tent, but you didn't bring your own red Solo cups.
Yeah.
And why would you bring a tent? Are you telling me the police department doesn't have their own like events tent that they do for recruitment? You decided to bring your own like 2-person tent for the body? Make it make sense.
And again, this guy who has all the experience used to be in narcotics. And I know for a fact, because I also watch TV, that when you get narcotics, for example, you make sure that you preserve the packaging in a sterile environment, because then you can go back and check for fingerprint or DNA to find out who slung the rock. This guy thought, no, let's take a food grade cup that's not sterile, that is in a package that's not sterile, and use it for evidence collection. With my 35 years on the force, I saw no problem because it's plastic and it would stay secure in that. No, you take an evidence bag, which is plastic, which is graded for this. Then you'll just scoop the frozen blood into that and close it. It'll work exactly the same way as a red Solo cup, but it won't be open to the environment. Drug dealers have more control over their product than this police department.
I'm not a smart person. Maybe you guys covered this when I was getting the updates on what happened at school. But the snow is already blowing, so you decide to just crank that up to 11 and bring more wind and more snow?
Yeah, I said the same thing. Either you're trying to counteract this blizzard or you're just helping the blizzard. So you could just leave it be and the snow would blow anyway, depending where the wind direction was from. But funny again, every time you see a effing picture in this case, there's no snow.
Yeah, I was listening to the and I didn't see any white flakage.
No, and I didn't hear from the phone's microphone. In a blizzard, it would sound like Bev at the end of the day if there's a blizzard around the telephone microphone. Regardless of his specialty, he should have enough knowledge to know to call in other people if he wasn't equipped to handle the scene, full stop. Brendan, again, I 100% agree. This is why it infuriates me that they are allowed to talk about the Bowden defense, but they're not allowed to bring a Bowden expert to say, this is not normal procedure. You would have secured the crime scene. It's not that important that you pick up a piece of blood. You can wait. Well, the state police wasn't picking up the phone. Well, doesn't matter. You'll wait.
Also, Baker, I did have some questions because I was taking notes. Okay, by the time he came, we have now heard Karen Reed, according to, female firefighter who told Link and Sergeant
Friendless
Good.
firefighter.
Friendless firefighter, who has told both of the leading sort of acting leads on this scene what happened. She hit him, and they all know about this. So when he says, I got onto the scene and there was no reason to expect that there was a crime.
There was a medical emergency. Even though that I think, did he say he arrived around 7:00?
Yes, because he had to get his cold weather gear and his pup tent for some reason. Also, do cop cars not work in snow?
Well, luckily he had 4-wheel drive, because with all of that snow you just saw, he could never have made it to the scene if he didn't have a four-wheel drive.
I don't remember Canton being full of Kia Rios as their cop cars, but okay.
But funny little thing. At, I believe, 10:35, Bukaki contacts the hospital and say, was John hit in the face with a cocktail glass? That's what they're thinking at that point. Then later, Proctor will demand the car towed at, I believe he calls for a tow truck at 3:30 or something like that, on the way down to Karen Reed, before they even see the car, before they ever know anything about the tail light. At the same time, they had a cop car at John O'Keefe's house who saw the busted tail light and instantly knew it was a hit and run. They found the shoe that he instantly knew was a hit and run. They all knew it was a hit and run after he was smashed in the face with a cocktail glass. But this guy thought it was have been a medical emergency with a gas this wide in the back of his head. Yeah, I don't know.
It was bagged and seized as evidence.
Was it brought anywhere that morning?
It was brought back to Canton Police Headquarters.
What happens when it gets back to Canton Police Headquarters?
It gets logged into evidence and it's assigned an evidence number.
No, it wasn't.
Types in a description of the item.
You missed the friendless firefighter.
In this case, it was a broken cocktail glass or broken glass. And once he hits the space bar, it automatically generates a property number for it. And I believe in this case, it was 22-18-PR, which means 22 is the year. 2020.
No, the PM. It's been Sergeant Leaf Blower all day, all afternoon.
22. 18 is how many pieces of evidence that the department as a whole had collected that year so far. And PR, I believe, means property room.
Why is it assigned a particular number?
Everything is assigned a number by the computer.
You said it's brought to the evidence room. Is that a separate or a special place?
So we have two rooms. We have a temporary evidence room, and then
it's brought into the allegedly brought into the temporary room because it's not assigned.
There's a permanent evidence room. Only two people have access to the permanent evidence room.
Is there a reason why access to the evidence room is limited?
There is.
Why?
For security.
Even in the police department, the evidence room is limited as far as people who have access?
That is correct.
In the evidence room, is there an officer assigned as an evidence officer?
Not full-time. There is an assigned admin sergeant who is assigned as the evidence officer.
Does anything happen specifically with the evidence? Is it packaged or stored in any particular way?
The glass was put into a locker, I believe, and temporary evidence. And then it's the evidence sergeant's job to retrieve it. But in this case, we were going to transfer it to the state police.
Was it transferred to the state police at some point?
It was.
Were you part of the transition of that item to the state police?
I was.
And when was it transitioned and to who?
It was on February 1st, 2022, and it was to a criminalist from the Massachusetts State Crime Line.
Do you know who the criminalist was?
I don't know the name, no.
Did the criminalist come to your department, or did you bring the item to them?
They came to our department.
In addition to the glass, there was plastic cups with coagulated blood?
That's correct.
What did you do with those cups?
Those were placed in temporary evidence and placed in a refrigerated unit.
To carry them from Fairview to the police department, did you hold the actual cups or did you put them in something?
Don't they were stacked in a bag.
What type of bag?
It was a craft paper bag. In this particular case, we utilized a Stop and Shop bag.
Is that any different than a bag from the police department?
This made of the same paper, craft paper, the same size and dimension, other than Stop and Shop and evidence and probably price.
No,
And
pause.
other
No,
than
it is in
it's
someone's
not-
house
not-
and touched by them. Jesus,
Other-
Mary and Joseph.
You have no way to prove any fiber, DNA, or anything in that because the Stop and Shop bag is made by Qingbao company in China, probably by a 5-year-old who would sit with his tuberculosis lungs and cough because he has a part-time job as a vape tester. And then they'll ship it to you in a non-secure wrapping. Then it'll go to Jim Bob Jr. down at the Liffey Tube or whatever shop it was from, who will wave it around and say, yeah, it's a little bit of weed. You know, I hung
How
out
do we
with
know-
Dunk last night.
How
And
do we
then
know
someone
that's
put
not-
it in they put it in the trunk of their effing car where the kids threw up 3 days ago. And it's the same size. It's all fine.
Jedi Jess says also someone's groceries came home in that. How do we know that's not where the pig DNA originated from? Was this contaminated as evidence?
Oh my
bag?
God, it was bacon.
Bacon or sausage or pork chops or ribs or, you know. And he says it with a straight face, like with conviction.
Yeah, like this is totally normal. It's a paper bag, and
You know,
we use paper bags.
I have a question. Why is so much taxpayer monies going towards these ridiculous evidence container things?
I
For
read,
police
I read
shots?
Yeah,
Solo
when you
Cup.
could
Someone
steal
put in
from
they are
Kroger.
9 cents.
9 cents a unit. That's way cheaper than the sterile shit that I've been paying for as a taxpayer for the last 40 years. This is ridiculous. Why are we doing
That's
this?
it. Yeah, all police departments should go into Trader Joe's and Aldi's and just pay $100 and get all of their paper sacks. Just all.
Serenity is here, so please, it's Aldi or Aldi, if you want to say it correctly. There's no
But I
S
don't.
on Aldi or Lego.
But there is a the and Aldi's when you come to the Midwest. I know it's not for everywhere else, but for here, it is our pride. It is the way we speak. That's a racism for trying to make fun of me.
Serenity,
We're all misogynists.
I apologize for the racial insensitivity against Germans we just had. You are a proud nation with a varied history that you had to come on this channel and hear the oldies. I apologize.
If that's the worst thing I
they're
did to
basically the same
Germany,
bag.
I
Why
think
did you
we're
use one of
okay.
those rather than a bag that said evidence on it?
I don't know where that bag came from. I was in a personal car. Sergeant Lank was in a Tundra. If that bag is upside down, you wouldn't know it didn't say evidence on it. So I'm not sure where that bag came from.
In the plastic cups, do you know what happened to those?
Yes, they were turned over to the criminalist as well.
Where did you store them before they were turned over to the criminals?
Temporary evidence in a refrigerator. Temporary evidence in a refrigerator.
Is the refrigerator part of the temporary evidence area?
It is, yes.
Did you bring that piece of evidence, the broken glass, with you today?
Yes.
With the court's permission, I'd like to approach the witness.
So red Solo cups have no lids. So he stacked one on top of the other with the coagulated blood because it
No,
was...
they are standing next to each other. We will see a picture of it in the Sally
Let me
Port.
ask you about that box. It has red tape on it. Why?
It's a secure transfer of custody.
Yeah, let's approach and
You one of the Lieutenant, before you open the box, were you one of the officers that discovered that broken glass?
Yes.
Did you personally bring the glass from Fairview to Canton?
No.
Do you know who did?
Yes.
Who?
Detective Sergeant Lank.
Sergeant Lang?
Yes.
When you went back to the station, you said that the evidence was then put into an evidence locker. Did you place it in the evidence locker?
I don't recall.
And then inevitably, it was transitioned to somebody from the forensic unit?
That's correct.
Were you personally there when it was taken from the evidence locker and given to the person from the forensic unit?
Yes, that was me.
Did you have a responsibility and role in that process, or were you a passive observer?
I had an active role. I was the...
he did say they were stacked because in the back they're standing next to each other when it's in the Sally Port.
chain of custody. I was turning it over to the criminalist, to the state police lab.
After that glass was given to the criminalist, did you ever have possession of it again?
Never.
Did you ever package it or touch it again in any way?
No, never.
Did you ever process it in any way?
No.
Did you put it in that box and tape it up yourself?
No.
Okay, I'm going to now ask you to open the box, please.
Then how can he introduce this? It's not his evidence.
I'm just waiting to see if he's going to write on his glove for notes.
How did Cross go with him last year?
He's an ass. He
got really combative,
Is
right?
there an item in that bag?
Yeah.
There is.
Would you please open the bag and show us what's in that bag?
we know this from, they have the temporary storage facility evidence locker, because they can't get into the evidence locker because there's only 2 people. So you can get it in the temporary where every fucking one has access to. But then you have the evidence locker that's only have 2 people access to it. Higgins actually could also get to the temporary evidence. It's just a room where they drop stuff off until the other guys are back on duty. This is tactical question. We have heard nothing about cocktails so far. Now he's showing a broken cocktail glass, which is not the type of glass that Karen Reed drank out of. We don't know what John was drinking. The jury must sit there and think, what does this glass has to do? Oh, there's a party in the Albert's house.
Well, yeah, I mean, if I'm a juror and I think this is about the time that I came in or right when they were talking about all the snow, I think I was really confused because I kept saying, he got hit by a car allegedly, right? Why are we on a glass?
Yeah.
And you guys were trying to explain it to me, but yeah, we don't have where he dropped. We don't have any of that clearly delineated except for the flagpole.
Nothing is... The flagpole is the key in this case. I'm sure the flagpole, if do like they did in that case where they brought in the entire door. So bring in the flagpole.
Or let us play King of Pain by the Police.
Back in the box, please.
Take the gloves of Tool and work on. Take the gloves of Tool and work on your next album. This has been mishandled a million times already. Yeah.
Lieutenant Gallagher, does that appear to be the same item that you
The
found?
fact that he's
in the area where
standing
John
by
O'Keefe
this
was at
investigation
Fairview at that
speaks
point?
volumes
Yes, it does.
about his
I'd
ability
like
as
to
a
have
police
the box
officer.
and item marked for identification, please.
Okay.
Why do they need the box? They need the glass marked as identification.
When you were looking around the area that was pointed out to you as where John O'Keefe was found, did you?
Did he put his gloves in his pocket?
I wasn't paying attention.
He didn't take. Oh, he did this last year as well. He brings his own gloves, so he can just touch it with his hands because he puts them in his jacket pocket. They are contaminated.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck this guy.
You expand across the front lawn into the street during your search?
No, we didn't, with the exception of uncovering the 6-foot asphalt berm.
Did you say 6 foot or is it?
Excuse me, 6 inch.
What's a berm?
It's it's basically a curbing, but it's made of asphalt. It's curved. You probably have seen it. It's asphalt. It's
I
curved.
think
it
so.
separates the street from property line.
Why did you clear that piece?
Wanted to see. We're trying to find out why John was having a medical issue, and we didn't know if he could have
Nope.
tripped over a curbing or what turned out to be an asphalt berm and possibly hit his head.
After you made efforts to look in that area, did you return to the Canton Police Department?
I did.
About what time?
It was shortly after 8 a.m.
After you returned to the Canton Police Department, did you receive any information or have a reason to return back to Fairview?
Yes.
About what time?
He's
Little after 9
retired.
o'clock.
Why did you go back to Fairview after 9 o'clock?
Sergeant Lane.
He's
got a
collecting
phone
that
call,
big
that,
pension.
Jen McCabe had more information
And where did you understand Mrs. McCabe was?
at 34 Fairview.
Wait,
Did you go
pause
back
it.
to 34 Fairview?
Okay, no. Sergeant Good, why are they calling at 9 when Sergeant Good was there when Jen said, I hit him, I hit him, I hit him? Why are we waiting until 9 when Jen called Sergeant Link back after they were working on the timeline?
Because she
it
didn't
never
remember it till then.
Yeah, but Lady Firefighter and Nuttall and
Her name is
Firefighter
Friendless Firefighter.
Look, I'm just going to call her Lady Firefighter. I don't want to be lumped in with you misogynist. Although I'm a bigger lady hater than both of you. I'm for the repeal of the 19th. I mean, that's the problem. Caffey Daffy doesn't know. I'm the worst misogynist here.
That's funny.
No, but this is the stupid thing because they made that up. I hit him, I hit him, I hit him. Because she never testified to it before,
Last
and then
year.
she all of a sudden said, "Oh, I have more information. Come back to the scene." And no one, friendless firefighters, lies or not, did ever hear Karen Reed say it at the scene.
Did you go with anybody?
I went with Sergeant Lank
Did you travel together or separate?
together.
When you got back to 34 Fairview, outside, what did you do?
We parked in the driveway. We walked up, and next to the garage, there's a side door. I don't know if we rang the bell or not, but Brian Albert, the homeowner, answered the door.
As you walked
So they also went in through the side door.
Yeah, I thought the side door was never used because it was
The side door was never used because it went into a den area.
yeah.
But everyone uses the side door except the people in the house who lived there or the
And
family.
the cops and the visitors.
No, he just said we went to the side door, rang the bell, and Brian Albert opened it.
walked up to the door, did you have a chance to look around at the doors in the area in front of that side door?
Yes.
Did you see anything out of place?
No.
You've been a police officer at that point for a long time.
Yes.
Do you receive any training in observing areas or people?
Always.
What type of training? What are you told to look for when you're speaking to people?
I've been BOSAR trained, which is behavioral observation, suspicious activity training, and you look for clues when you're speaking to people, and whether they cross their legs, cross their arms, is certain behavioral characteristics.
At this point, did you have any understanding that this would later be a crime scene?
I did, yes.
Okay,
What happened?
MacGyver.
How did you come to that conclusion?
Columbo.
Not at that time.
Oh, not at that time.
No, not at that time.
When you
No,
went
he's
into the house,
MacGyver.
what
He
part of
figured
the
out
house
how to
was
use
it?
a
I went
snowblower.
into the room.
That's true.
It's adjacent to the kitchen,
That's true.
and I stood there with
Columbo
Brian
looks
Albert.
at
Can you describe
facts.
what
He
kind of
used
room that
snowblower.
Yeah, it was just a typical family room type room. It was not large. It was between the garage and the kitchen.
You met with Brian Albert?
Brian Albert answered the door and let us into the house.
Did you understand what his relationship was to that house?
He was the homeowner.
Did Sergeant Lank walk in with you?
He did.
Did he stay in that living area?
No, he went to the kitchen area and sat down with Jen McCabe.
Could you see the kitchen area from where you were?
I could see a portion of the kitchen area.
Did you see anybody else in the kitchen area with Ms. McCabe and Sergeant Lank?
There were people in the kitchen area. There was nobody with Sergeant Lank or Miss McCabe.
Could you hear their conversation?
No.
Were you trying to listen?
No.
Were you speaking to Mr. Albert?
I was.
Did you take the time to make observations of him?
I'll allow it.
Did you take the time to make
course you
observations
will.
of him?
Yes.
Did you speak to him?
Yes.
Did he speak to you?
Yes.
Was there anything about his mannerisms or affect that caused you any concern?
No, it was just a social conversation. There was nothing of concern at all.
Was there anything
Okay,
about it that
pause.
caused you to?
Brian Albert is himself a fact a cop too, right? So did he
Mhm.
take all of these like super secret special agent classes as well? So maybe he would know not to cross his arms or his legs or offer you solo cups or a snowblower.
Mo, are you
Eh.
saying or implying that a 30-year police detective may or may not know how to stage a crime scene? Is that what you're
At this
implying?
point, no, because this doofus used a leaf blower. So I am saying that the entire town of Canton is an indictment on the federal education program.
Yeah, and he just said it was a social conversation. Why would he freak out? Yeah. If you just come in and say, "Hey, Brian, kind of bad what happened." Yeah. Oh, by the way, I was talking to Kevin earlier. Those basketball tickets, you still got them? Yeah, sure I did. Oh, by the way, do you know the guy who was here last night? Oh, well, he wasn't in the house. Oh, okay. Yeah, fine. Are we meeting up for a beer later? No, that massive blizzard that didn't exist existed.
Hone in or be concerned?
No.
I'll allow that.
Did you get a chance to look around that living area at the
Sure.
items?
I didn't look around, just with my eyes.
Did you get to see that area?
Wait, I
I
didn't
didn't look around just with my eyes.
Did you see anything
Clip
broken or
that.
looked out of
Someone
place?
please
No,
clip
Anything
that.
that caused you any type of concern?
Nothing.
When you looked towards the kitchen, did you see anything that looked different or suspicious in any way?
Nothing.
Was the interaction, did it cause you any alarm or concerns?
Looked.
After Sergeant Lank
With
had an opportunity to speak to Mrs. McCabe and you spoke to Ryan Albert, what did you do next?
We left.
Where'd you go?
Verbatim.
We went back to the police department and we're.
No, I think it's
informed that
Lank
the
who
state
didn't
police
want
were
to go
gonna
into the
respond to
house.
hospital,
This
that
is
we needed to
later in
respond
the
to
day when they're
When
called
you heard that
back.
the state police was then going to get involved in the investigation, what does Canton do when the state police takes over an investigation?
Well, it was based off of a conversation I had with my chief in the detective sergeant's office.
Was there a decision about Canton's involvement in the ongoing investigation?
There was.
No, I think she's right. I think
That we
your
should
mom is
recuse
right.
ourselves from any further investigative interviews.
And why was that?
Because our best detective, his name was Kevin Albert, and he was the brother of the homeowner. And I didn't want any
remember him
potential
saying it like
bias,
such
whether
a
unconscious or
douchebag.
subjective.
Well, we didn't have probable
by the
cause.
O'Keefe's,
so-
by the O'Keefe family.
So when the state police got involved and you had the conversation with the chief, was that the end of your
Yeah, ask him, did you see a dog at the premise?
Mhm.
efforts towards this?
It was the end of our efforts until I helped.
Yeah, and how he's never been there before. How would he know anything that looks different?
facilitate during the search warrant on February 1st.
And so at some point, was the defendant's Lexus brought to the Canton Police Department?
It was.
Was it put in a particular area at the Canton Police Department?
It was.
What area?
The Sally Port.
What's a Sally Port?
Sally Port is where, when we have an arrest, we bring our prisoners in. It's basically a extra large garage. It has 4 doors, the numbered 1, 2, 3, and 4. We typically go in door 4 and pull towards door 3. Door 4 is lowered, and then prisoners are walked into the booking area, which is also secure. The exterior doors to the Sally Port can only be opened by the dispatch counsel.
When crime scene services came to look at the car, was that the same day, the 29th, or later time?
No, it was February 1st.
Did the Lexus remain in the Sally Port area from the 29th until February 1st?
Yes.
When representatives from the crime lab from the Massachusetts State Police came on February 1st, who provided them access to the Lexus?
I was one of the people there that was there. I don't know if I provided them direct access, but I certainly would have. And I assisted them if they needed things. That's when the chain of custody, the exchange of custody for the blood samples and the glass occurred as well.
And during their processing of the Lexus, were you there for parts of it?
I was in and out, yes, but I did not partake.
Thank you very much.
It's gonna be Jackson. I would actually like Alessi on this one because he's more of an expert.
February 29th, 2022. We've seen the video of the leaf blower, correct?
That's correct.
So you were integral to at least an initial search of the scene, which recovered the drinking glass that you've shown us, as well as some of the blood byproduct that you've shown, that you talked about.
That's correct, yes.
Okay. You were the ranking person on scene. You already described that.
Yes, that is correct.
There were also several other officers from Canton PD who were there with you.
Yes, there was 4 other officers, yes.
Can you just name those other officers?
Yeah, Detective Sergeant Lank, Lank, Detective Sergeant Good, Goode, Officer Mullaney, Mullaney, and Officer Saraf, Saraf.
Okay. When you initially, let me back up and ask a different question. Given the fact that you were the ranking officer, the way that it works in a police department is everybody sort of reports up the chain of command, correct?
That is correct. Yes.
So they would have all reported up to you in some particular.
That's correct.
And then, of course, you report to I think you're the deputy chief, and then the deputy chief reports on up to the chief, correct?
That is correct.
You were involved in not only the exposing of some of that blood byproduct, but also exposing the glass with the leaf blower, correct?
That is correct.
You were responsible for utilizing certain equipment. You chose the leaf blower at the time, correct?
I did, yes.
There was also, I'm guessing, there was also some use of your hands and or the gloved hands with some others to
Pro
recover
bono.
some of the items.
Yeah, I didn't use my hands.
How did you get the glass into a bag?
That was Detective Sergeant Lank.
Somebody had to pick it up, right?
Correct.
That's what I mean. The use of hands to manipulate some of the evidence, correct?
Yeah, I apologize. I didn't understand that question.
That's okay.
I thought you were speaking about me.
It's probably my fault, not yours.
No, that's okay.
There was also some plastic cups that we've talked about. We'll talk more about those in a second. Those were utilized as well, correct?
You were, yes.
And you were responsible for the use of those as well.
Yes, it was
So,
my decision, yes.
in terms of the search of the scene, the recovery of evidence, the recovery of biological material, the use of tools to recover those biological materials, all of that rested at least ultimately at the scene on your shoulders, correct?
Yes, it did.
Isn't it true that you weren't interviewed in this case with regard to anything having to do with this case until April 3rd, 2024, correct?
Yes, we can call it an interview. It's when I met with the prosecutor, yes.
And that was about 2.5 years, nearly 2.5 years after this incident, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Michael Proctor, you know that name?
I do.
Who's Michael Proctor?
He was one of the troopers assigned to investigate the case.
As a matter of fact, he was the lead investigator for the case, correct?
I don't know if he was lead or trooper mechanic. I don't know.
As you said,
Yes, you do. You know this. Everyone knows this. He was the lead. They tried to do the same thing last year. Well, they were co-leads, and Bukaki was actually maybe a little bit more lead. Everyone knows Sergeant Proctor, Trooper, whatever his name is. Former police officer Proctor was lead on the case. Stop effing trying to hide this asshole.
did hear you don't know that Michael Proctor was the lead case agent for.
I know he was one of them, yes.
Okay. Do you know that he was the lead investigator assigned to the case?
I don't. I had nothing to do with the DA's office.
Right. I know you didn't have.
I don't know how they assign their cases, counsel. I don't know what you want me to say. I can't say what I don't know.
Mr. Gallagher, I'm not asking you to. I'm just asking if.
I did not know he was lead. I know he was one of the leads.
Okay.
I believe they do it in a tandem. Assign their cases, counsel. I don't know what you want me to say. I can't say what I don't know.
Mr. Gallagher, I'm not asking
That's
you to.
total
I'm just
bullshit.
If,
I did not know he was lead. I know he was one of the leads.
Okay.
I believe they do it in a tandem, but I'm not sure.
Okay. He may have had a partner, correct?
That is
That's
correct.
how
Yes.
they
It's
make
not
more
unusual to have a lead
troopers.
case agent. The person who's responsible for most of the search warrant writing and the memorialization of and documentation of evidence collection and the movement of evidence and booking into evidence, things like that.
That is correct, but I don't know anything about who wrote their affidavits or who logged their evidence in. I wouldn't know that.
You're also familiar with Yuri Buchanan, correct?
I know who he is.
You're also familiar with Lieutenant Tully?
I know, yes.
They're all Massachusetts State Police officers, correct?
Yes, they all are.
Did Michael Proctor interview you before April of 2024?
He did not.
Did Yuri Buchanan interview you before April of 2024?
No, he did
Did
not.
Lieutenant Tully interview you before April of 2024?
No, he did not.
Did anybody else from the Canton Police Department, your deputy chief or the chief, interview you formally about your conduct and responsibilities before April of 2024?
I don't understand that question.
Did anybody at Canton PD, separating out Massachusetts State Police,
Correct.
did you sit down at Canton PD and provide an interview with anybody at Canton PD about your conduct at the scene?
What do you mean by conduct?
Going to the scene, collecting evidence, securing evidence, transporting evidence, booking evidence, those kinds of things. Your conduct at the scene, sir.
Yeah, I briefed my superiors, yes.
Okay, other than briefing, was there a formal report written?
No.
Or
I
a
hate
formal
this
interview
guy.
conducted of you?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
He's such a pompous
Tell us
ass.
when you wrote your report
He's a
about what
putz.
happened at the scene, memorializing what you did at the scene.
I didn't.
You didn't write a report?
About the scene that day at the scene?
Correct, about this
I
investigation.
only did the metadata report. I did not write a report at the scene.
You never, in fact,
This is
you
the
never
guy
wrote any
that
report
made
about
the
what
joke
happened at the scene, correct?
about
Correct.
You didn't
John
know-
O'Keefe being. This is the guy that made the joke about John O'Keefe. Jackson was like, was he 6'2"? And he's like, I'd believe it if Mr. Lally told me. I'd accept it as fact as if Mr. Lally told me. He's the one that made that stupid joke last year.
Yeah.
I
Or
can't
like that
stand
in
this
any
guy.
formal way
No.
on Canton PD letterhead to describe what you did and how you did it at the scene.
No.
Normally, when you report to a scene as a first responder, you would be expected to write a report about that, whatever that conduct is.
I'm not the supervisor, no.
What if you're the ranking person at a scene that ultimately turns into a homicide scene?
Well, we don't know it's a homicide scene at this time. We don't even know there's a crime committed at this time. My
Understood.
responsibilities are to make sure reports are written, not to necessarily write the reports myself. I'm the supervisor. It's
Although-
my job to make sure reports are written, evidence is logged, those types of things.
Under ordinary circumstances, you would respond to a scene as a supervisor, and you would oversee what other people are doing. What you're
That's
supporting.
correct.
Can I finish?
Sure.
I want to talk over each
I
other.
apologize.
You would want a supervisor oversee what your subordinate officers, whatever he or she might be doing or they might be doing. You're going to oversee that. But they're the ones actually conducting the investigation or picking up evidence or doing the interviews, writing those things of that nature.
Correct. Detective Sergeant Lake's investigation, yes.
So in that circumstance, you wouldn't be expected to write a report because all of that conduct is memorialized by others subordinate to the supervisor, correct?
Correct.
But in this case, quite the opposite happened. You were the one that was in the video utilizing the leaf blower, correct?
That's correct.
You were the one that actually exposed the drinking glass, correct?
Correct, yes.
You noted the drinking glass and actually called somebody else over to take a look at it, correct?
That's correct.
You directed someone, Sergeant Lake, to pick up the drinking glass and recover it as a potential piece of evidence,
That
correct?
is correct.
You noted the blood or the coagulation of blood in and around that area, correct?
That is correct.
You noted where you believe the drinking glass was, in other words, what location, if there were grid coordinates, where it would be, correct?
Correct.
And you instructed others to transport that important evidence back to Canton PD to have it booked, correct?
That is correct.
You also secured the plastic containers in which to recover the blood.
That is
right?
correct.
You also directed someone to get a bag to put the plastic containers in and ultimately transport it, correct?
That is correct.
So you would agree with me, Mr. Gallagher, that in this circumstance, you were the centerpiece of the recovery of evidence and the investigation as it was at that time in that limited context. You were the centerpiece of what was happening at the scene, correct?
And I made sure it was documented by Detective Sergeant Lake.
But you didn't find it important enough to write a report yourself.
I think that's poor misrepresentation. There's a person fighting for their life. It was very important.
When you were there at the scene at, what time was it, by the way?
I got there shortly after 7.
Okay, you knew that person who was fighting for his
Didn't
life
they already
had
declare him
been
dead?
transported and was in good care, as best care we can provide.
It's such a stupid. Well, I was just there to take care of a person. No, you don't have anything to do with a person fighting for their life. You are the guy they call in when the person is gone. You're just
Also-
there to make sure that if it turns out to be a crime, you have the evidence. Stop trying to do this. Oh, I'm Mother Teresa.
Also, if you are using unorthodox, tools and things like that, wouldn't you want to write the report that explains your reasoning behind this? I mean, again, people are going to look at this like the rest of humanity and said they used snowblowers and red Solo cups. WTF? You think you'd want to have a report stating, look, I was worried I was worried for the destruction of evidence. I understand that this isn't, the protocol that we generally use. Inclement. You think you would have a report to kind of explain your reasoning as to why you used, the tactical snowblower and red Solo cups of tactability.
Yeah. My post game is always on point.
At Good Samaritan Hospital, correct?
That's correct.
So certainly you're not excusing away the idea that you didn't memorialize your conduct because you were too busy fighting for someone's life. That's not what you're saying.
No, definitely not what I'm
Okay.
saying.
Obviously, reporting to a scene and supervising a scene is one thing, but actually gathering evidence is a whole next level. You would agree with that?
Sure.
Because, just to put a fine point on it, responding to a scene as a supervisor, you want to make sure everybody's doing their duty, but the officer or officers who, for instance, uncover, let's say it's a knife or a gun or some weapon or something like that, actually documenting and picking up that evidence and handling it up in an appropriate way, that is all highly, highly technical. It's very important to get it right and memorialize it all, correct?
That is correct.
That's why you're highly trained to memorialize and report everything that you do in that regard in a report that can later be used forensically, in other words, in a courtroom setting, to recreate as best you can with as much detail as you can exactly what you did and how you did it and where it was done, correct?
Sure. Yes.
What time did he say he arrived?
So he arrived.
Officer Langford will report in this case.
Sure.
Did Officer Mulaney?
I believe you did, yes.
Did Officer
a
Sarah?
little past 8 the first time and then 9.
Officer Good.
They declared
Sergeant.
John O'Keefe
Yes.
dead at 7:50 a.m. John
Yeah,
O'Keefe was
and-
dead before he ever got on scene.
And this guy
Nobody
was
was
the
fighting
only
for
one,
that.
only one not writing a report. All the other officers at the scene wrote a report, but this guy was fighting for a life.
But you did not.
I did not.
Who was the first officer to find any potential physical evidence at the scene, be it blood or glass?
I can't answer that. It was not me. I was not the first thing that was spotted was the pink spotting, not the glass.
Okay. Who was the first person to see the glass?
I think it was myself as I uncovered it with the leaf blower.
I think Jen will be fine in
One of the
prison.
important things that we've talked about, Mr. Gallagher, is documenting the details of evidence recovery, not just the fact that something was recovered, correct?
That's correct.
So you'd want to know what time of day it was recovered, correct?
Sure.
You'd want to know who was there and who was around when it was recovered, correct?
Yes.
You'd want to know what the item is, the condition of the item, right?
Yes.
You'd also want to know exactly where it's recovered, correct?
Yes.
In other words, as best you can to pinpoint the exact location where an item was found. That could play a huge role in any investigation, be it criminal.
We already have Liberty, Freedom, and Dunkin' Donuts. Can we deport all of Massachusetts now? These people have served their purpose. Lefty, I know some nice people in Massachusetts, but all the cops, I think, would be better off on a boat.
I think we should deport them to the new territory, the new U.S. territory of Greenland. And
oh, they would feel right at home with all the snow because.
Well, yeah, I do feel like we need testing of snowblowers, like for snow removal.
It's a twofer, you guys. It'll also boost the DNA of Greenland and help.
Yeah, sadly, it'll lower the IQ.
Yeah, they're gonna be less inbred, but more math hole.
Yeah.
Sorry, Greenland.
They could.
They will have 45 words for snow, and all of them will be pronounced in a weird accent. Says the guy with the Danish accent.
Did you diagram or draw a diagram back at Canton PD or
I did
out
not.
at the scene?
No.
About where that glass was found?
No, I did no reports or diagrams.
Did you diagram exactly where you recovered the blood spots that you did recover?
No.
Did you at least, if you didn't write a report, did you at least take notes on a pad about
It's
what
more
you
of an
did?
attitude.
Conditions weren't. It was pretty hard to take notes at that time, but I did not take notes. No.
Pretty hard to take notes at that time due to all the snow.
Due to the snowblower, my glove was snowblowed and I couldn't
At some
write on
point,
it.
you mentioned a person by the name of.
Had my hands
Tom
full with a
Keller,
leaf
Deputy Chief
blower. How
Keller.
was I supposed to
That's
write
correct.
notes?
Who is Deputy Chief Kelleher?
He's the deputy chief of Canton Police.
He was active on active duty at the time? When I say active duty, I don't mean that morning, that hour. I mean just generally.
Yes, he was a lieutenant at that time.
That stupid lip thing he's
He
doing
was someone to
drives me
whom, as a
absolutely
matter of fact, probably
nuts.
the only person to whom at Canton PD you actually reported, correct? Up the chain of he was the only person to whom you reported up the chain of command, meaning he was your direct report.
He was in charge of detectives at that time.
And then, of course, the chief would be
Nope.
above him, correct?
Deputy chief and chief.
Okay.
Thank you, Brendan.
When you responded to the scene,
Deputy Cheese. Subtitles. said
Deputy Chief Gallagher did
Cheese.
not come out of his house and take over the investigation, correct?
Correct.
That was yours to detail,
That is correct.
at least while you were there.
That's correct.
So can you describe what you did to preserve the crime scene? I'm sorry, to preserve the scene, because at that time you said you did not know if it was a crime scene. Is that right?
That's correct.
What did you do in terms of actually preserving the scene?
You
for
lulled
later
me into
investigation? What steps did you take?
For later, can you explain later
security.
investigation?
So let me take a step back.
Sure.
Have you been trained to preserve scenes?
Yes.
What's the reason that you want to preserve a scene? What does that mean?
Collect evidence.
Collect evidence to make sure nothing is disturbed, correct?
Correct.
Civilians can't kind of trace through, walk through evidence, correct?
That's correct.
You've heard the phrase forensically, evidence in, evidence out. Someone tricks through a crime scene, you bring evidence with you, and you take it back out, on your shoes or on your feet or your breath or your saliva, whatever it might be.
Very familiar with that, yes.
Preserving the scene is best efforts, it's best practices to make sure that nothing's moved, touched, messed with in any way, correct?
That's correct, and that's what was done here.
Ridiculous, Vanilla.
Learn to properly use an R and we'll allow you to stay. Otherwise, Hans Gruber.
What did you do? That's my question. What did you do to preserve that scene?
So there were no civilians ever to trample through. Were rescue efforts made on Mr. O'Keefe? Yes, that's priority.
Well, there absolutely
rescue efforts
was.
do go into any type of
Yeah.
scene.
Agreed.
Medical life-saving measures come
At
first.
least.
Once all apparatus was off scene, the original officers put out crime scene tape, mark an area, and later it was documented, it was photographed, and evidence was collected.
And it was searched by you, at least initially with the leaf blower.
Correct.
Okay. So you were interested in the area that, by the way, I want to clear this up, make sure I'm not mistaken. You described for Mr. Brennan basically where Mr. O'Keefe's body was. correct?
Yes, yes,
You never saw his body in situ. You never saw his body in place.
that is correct.
You were told by Sergeant Lang generally where his body was, correct?
Yes, and Sergeant Lank actually never saw Mr. O'Keefe either.
That's my next question.
Okay,
Sergeant Lang,
and Mr. Good, and Sergeant Good as well.
right. Sergeant Lang never saw John O'Keefe actually in place, correct?
That is correct.
So you're receiving information from Sergeant Lang that he did not have personal knowledge of, and then you're providing that information later to crime scene investigators who are trying to establish a diagram or some sort of a chart about where that evidence was, where the drinking glass was, where his body was, correct?
No, I never spoke to anybody in that manner about that.
Didn't you ultimately go out to the scene along with others at Massachusetts State Police when they had drone overhead?
No, you're mistaken. I can clarify it for you if you wish.
Sure.
So on February 1st, after the execution of the warrant, they wanted to go down to the
3
scene.
days later.
It was Trooper Proctor and somebody from the CARS team. I'm not sure of the name. Once they got down there, I did show them where I was shown John O'Keefe was. They did want to put up a drone, but they could not do it because they were too close to Norwood Airport and because of FAA regulations.
Okay.
And that was the last of my involvement with
So-
that. I hope that clarifies things for you.
Forget the drone. I'm interested in the first part, which was you accompanied Trooper Proctor to the
Correct.
scene, correct?
Correct.
There were other members of the CARS, CARS.
I think there was one. Crash accident reconstruction section, I'm assuming.
Okay, so it's a forensic, a member of NSP who does forensic diagrams, correct?
I would say. I don't know if they do diagrams. I don't know what they do.
Or reconstruction, some sort.
Sure, reconstruction of some sort.
So you were there to help provide information about where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found, correct?
And be a Canton police officer present in case any neighbors had come out.
So you were there to help provide information about, or at least you did provide information to them about where Mr. O'Keefe's body was found.
Oh, sure, yes.
Except you didn't see Mr. O'Keefe's body, did you?
No, I did not.
So that was a guess on your part.
It was what I was shown. It's the information I had.
Yeah, it was the information you were told by Sergeant Lang, correct?
Yes,
Who also didn't see John O'Keefe in place on the ground at 34 Ferry, correct?
that is correct, yes.
So his would be a guess also, correct?
Well, we're going backwards. So he was told by Sergeant Good and et cetera. So it was information passed along, which is what police officers do.
Right. But the police officer that was out there at the scene, who was helping the reconstructionist establish the formal report, in the CARS report, was an officer who not only didn't see where John O'Keefe's body was, you got information about where John's body was from someone who didn't see it either. Correct? Can we at least agree
no.
on that?
You have to go back to the beginning. I didn't understand the beginning of that question.
Sure,
It's very
I'll try it again. The point is, Mr. Gallagher, you have to be tapped as the person who's going to assist the CARS folks, the MSP, in creating their CARS,
No.
ultimately their CARS report.
No.
Isn't it true that you accompanied Trooper Proctor and members of the CARS unit to document Fairview Road and the scene of the incident?
Yeah, I thought I explained it could not be done.
Okay.
So
I'm not
I wasn't, I only went to show them where Mr. O'Keefe was and in case any neighbors came out. I wasn't there to assist in any documentation at all.
You were there.
Didn't he just say he showed them where it was?
Yeah, I thought he was there to show them where the body
Have you reviewed
was.
Brian Tully's report?
I have not. You showed me one section of it.
Is it true that what you actually told Brian Tully is that you went with Trooper Proctor and you're already shaking your head now? I didn't finish the question.
No.
I got that part wrong. You accompanied Trooper Proctor?
You know, what's wrong is I was interviewed by Lieutenant Tully. That was a meeting I had with Prosecutor Lally.
Okay.
Trooper Tully was present. Trooper Tully never asked me any question. I don't recall Trooper Tully ever asking me a question, sir.
So let me be a little bit more defined. So in Trooper Tully's report, where he reports what you said, you were actually talking to Adam Lally, my colleague sitting up in front.
Correct.
Okay. So now we got that cleared up. Let me ask you again. Did you say in front of Trooper Tully that you accompanied Trooper Proctor and members of the CARS unit to document Fairview Road?
Meaning they were documenting Fairview Road. It's not clear. The report's not clear. They were going to document Fairview Road, not me.
So you just said something that I want to follow up on.
Okay.
The report's not clear, correct?
That's correct.
So that's an inaccurate report.
I wouldn't call it inaccurate at all. I'm just saying you're misinterpreting the wording.
I see. And I'm misinterpreting it even though I just read it directly from the report?
Yeah, sometimes sentences have different meanings.
Okay.
Yes, you are.
Okay. The reality is you did end up going to the scene, correct?
I did.
And you accompanied, I don't want to use a word that you'll challenge, you went with Trooper Proctor, correct?
I took my cruiser to 34
Okay.
Fairview, yes.
You were there at the same time Trooper Proctor was?
Yes.
And you were aware that the CARS team was there so that they could document the scene, correct?
I don't know what the purpose of the drone was. I'm not familiar with that section. I thought I answered that question.
What
I'm
do
not
you
familiar
think
with
the
what-
drone was for?
But you do believe that as you
Hey,
You think
relax
they're gonna
now.
Back out where they're gonna put the pool next year? Like what the hell is?
Come
Well,
on
hold
now.
on. I
This
need-
is Canton. They only have two coolers of beer in the back of the truck. They were going on a field trip. In the middle of it, like, what's that, like 48 beers or something like that, they could run out of beer and then they would send the drone to get more beer because we can't get the BAC too low when we're working. So the
Okay.
drone has nothing to do with documenting a crime scene. It has all to do with maintaining a proper level of alcohol-induced greatness in the troopers. So this is what they had the drone for, to go to the next nearest Quickie Mart, get a few beers, get some evidence bags, and then come back. This is what you
Okay.
normally use the drones for in Canton.
So, Baker, what I have learned from this officer is yes, I took a pup tent to a scene. I looked with my eyes, not with my hands, which is what I tell my toddlers when we look at things, we use our eyes. And words have different meanings.
And even though you read directly what it says, you misinterpreted it.
I
Because-
actively feel my intelligence going down. And Julie Fraser is right. This man is a bellend.
Which is the tip of the penis.
you sit here,
I
you
know,
were
but
there, we weren't. You
I
believe that that's
asked
the reason that they were there was
Oh.
to document the scene.
Put up a drone.
You have to
Okay,
say it in a
I don't
British
know
accent.
what you mean by document. I don't know if it was
This
to photograph.
guy's a
I guess
bellend.
if you mean by document photograph,
Well, it sounds better
I
than
guess
dick.
I would agree. If it means take measurements, I
Oh,
wouldn't
dick
know.
tip.
Okay. Did you tell any of the members of the CARS team where you believed John's body was?
I believe it was Trooper Proctor, but I believe he was there, yes.
Trooper Proctor obviously was not there when John's body was there either, correct?
That is correct,
So
yes.
he would have gotten that information.
From you. That is correct.
Now that's 3 people.
It's probably more, quite honestly, yeah.
Well, I'm just talking about this report.
Correct.
CARS report. That's 3 people in line. None of them saw John O'Keefe's body as it lay in the lawn.
That is correct, yes.
And there's no photographs of Mr. O'Keefe
Oh, no.
at the location.
No, we wouldn't, nobody would photograph somebody undergoing life-saving measures. Wouldn't be appropriate.
There's no video. specifically?
They wouldn't take video of somebody
no
undergoing
bo- there's
life-saving measurements.
There's no body cam.
We don't have body cameras.
There's no dash cam that shows it.
Well, dash cameras would be on the road. Mr. O'Keefe was approximately 8 to 10 feet off the road.
Well, hang
I
on a
believe
second.
so, yes.
You're not sure where Mr. O'Keefe was because you never saw him.
That's why I used a range, yes.
Right.
I know where the blood was. I know where the glass was.
Right. You don't know if he was 7 to 9 feet
How
off.
do you know
That's
if you
correct.
didn't diagram any of that shit?
Yes.
I could- Only approximately. You are correct, yes.
You did meet with Officer Seraph. You met with all the sergeants.
No, they didn't have any body cams because when they were applying to get body cams, they would rather use 300,000 to get a new kitchen at the police station. That's more of a priority.
All the officers when you arrived at the scene, correct?
Yes,
And Officer Seraph had been there from the beginning of the morning.
yes.
Officer Seraph didn't report to you at that time any statements attributable to my client. Did
He
he?
did not know.
You later went back to 34 Fairview with Sergeant Lank,
That's correct.
and you rode back. Did you ride back to Kenton PD with Sergeant Lank or separate cruisers?
Which time? I
I'm
apologize.
sorry. That's a vague question on my part. You went back to 34 Fairview with just Officer Lank, and you described the circumstance in which you went in, you were let in by Brian Albert. He went to the kitchen. You were in the family room or some other place.
Right by the kitchen, yeah.
Right by
the
the
room
kitchen.
off the kitchen, yes.
Okay, so right next to where he was interviewing
That's correct.
Jennifer McCabe.
Yes.
Did you ride back from that meeting with, or that event to Kenton PD with Sergeant Lank?
Yes.
And Sergeant Lank didn't say anything to you about his interview with Jennifer McCabe at that time.
I don't recall our conversation on the way back.
And you didn't write a report about any conversation that you had with Officer Seraph. You didn't write a report about any conversation you had with Sergeant Lank.
No, they're responsible for writing their own reports.
Got it. You did say that. Let me back up and ask a different question. You testified about a year ago in another proceeding. You talked a little bit about the evidence collection of the biological material, the blood, or actually, I'm guessing at that time, presumed blood. Getting ready to test it.
That's correct, yes, sir.
But you assumed it was blood just because of your experience and it looked like it could be blood.
That's correct.
How far were you from Canton PD, approximately?
Mile and a half.
Mile and a half. You had your cruiser with you,
I had my personal vehicle with me.
your personal vehicle. In other words, your ambulance where you could get from point A to point B if you wanted to.
Yeah, I was the scene supervisor. I wasn't leaving the scene.
Okay. But you also had subordinate folks at the scene that you could have dispatched had you wanted to.
Correct.
They all had cruisers
Yes, they did.
or personal vehicles. I'm not sure which.
I'm sorry?
Or personal vehicles. I'm not sure which.
I was the only one with a personal vehicle. Detective Sergeant Lank had a Toyota Tundra pickup truck that is not marked, but it's assigned to our detective unit.
So if you wish to, as a ranking officer at the scene, you could have dispatched one or more of those officers to run an errand to go do something in furtherance of the investigation had you wanted to.
Yeah, I actually did that.
Okay, you did. What did
Yes.
you do in that regard?
Remember, I sent Sergeant Good to get the leaf blower.
Got it. You also know that Canton PD has evidence collection bags at Canton PD.
Yes.
You also know that they have materials and tools to gather biological material, correct?
We do have swabs, yes.
And those swabs go in little containers to maintain their sanitary nature, correct?
That is correct.
In other words, if you see a blood stain, you don't just walk up with a Kleenex that you find on the ground and wipe it up. There's your blood stain. There's a process for gathering that type of evidence, correct?
Sure. If you're looking for DNA, you can use a bloody Kleenex, to your point.
It'd be kind of an emergency.
Yeah, absolutely. My point exactly.
But if you're a mile from the Canton PD,
Yeah,
you could have gone back and done a swab.
could have.
But you didn't.
Didn't want to because of the weather. Because you just said because it's an emergency, and we thought.
What was the
Then show
emergency?
the
There was no
video
emergency.
again. At this point, the defense should show the video and say, can you tell me where the emergency is? Because I'm looking at this picture. I can't see the heavy snowfall you were seeing. Canton PD is 5 minutes from the scene. Maybe if the weather is bad, I'll give you 7. So that's a 15-minute round trip to get the correct tools. Are you saying that all the evidence would disappear before you arrive back at the scene? I have to go out and check. Someone is walking outside of my window.
Okay, but also, I mean, you're cops. You're trained to drive in inclement weather. In fact, you know, the news people don't come on and say, if you're a police officer, please stay in your home. You don't know how to drive in snow. No,
Yeah.
usually they're the only ones allowed out on roads if it is a critical situation. So you're telling me that they couldn't figure out to how to get back to Canton PD to get some evidence bags because it was too terrifying out.
Well, it's an emergency. That's why. And again, then
But they
show
could
the
leave
video.
for a leaf blower.
Play the effing. Yeah, they send a guy to get a leaf blower, but they can't say, "Hey, while you're getting the leaf blower, swing by the department." But show the video again and have them testify where they see the snow. Prove to the jury, because I don't think they do it enough. Show the jury there was no fucking snow. And I have to go check out who's outside.
Terribly. And I believe if we didn't collect that biological matter, we weren't going to get that biological matter.
But Canton PD was a mile and a half away, 4 or 5 minutes.
In a blizzard.
Well, still, in a blizzard, it's 3 minutes in good weather. Probably 4
Play the
hours.
video, Jackson. Play
I'm
the
not
video.
sure.
So it's all 15 minutes. You certainly could have done, but if you wanted to, you could have dispatched one of your officers to go back and get swabs and properly collect the blood material.
Sure. And I believe 15 minutes would have made a difference.
And what you did instead is, well, 15 minutes would have made a difference, but you asked Sergeant Good to drive to his house and get a leaf blower.
Yes, and while he was doing that, we were documenting the scene with photographs.
You could have documented the scene with photographs even if you went back and get a swab. What's the difference?
Because we were ongoing. It was ongoing. I wasn't leaving the scene.
I didn't ask you to leave the scene. I didn't ask you if you
I
were leaving the
needed the other officers. We talked about scene security. I already let one officer go. I now have 3 left. We're securing that scene.
scene. So you saw
There was no security on that. Oh my God, this
And you
guy.
said, Officer Good, probably called Sean, Sarge, go home and get a leaf blower.
That is correct.
Could have said, Officer Mulaney, get your butt over to Canton PD and pick up 10 swabs, correct?
He wouldn't have had access to the swabs
Oh, so now one of your officers could have gotten swabs, even if the lieutenant, the ranking lieutenant had dispatched him to go get a swab.
because he doesn't have access to the BCI, the Office of BCI, where our stuff is kept.
Could you have made a phone call?
No, nobody there would have had access at that time. It was only Officer Dever on the desk.
So you're the only person that could have gotten those swabs?
Sergeant Lane could have gotten them as well.
So Sergeant Lane could have too?
Sure.
But you didn't say that?
No, definitely didn't.
Okay. What you did do, however, is you went to the neighbor's house. That would be Tom Keller, right?
The Lieutenant of Detectives, yes.
Right. And Lieutenant Keller gave you red solo cups.
Yes. I asked for plastic or glass containers. He had solo cups, and I utilized them.
The same kind of solo cups that
Sorry, Val. AJ is hung over to days of write-off. Hey,
Can we
do
have
you
a
know what you
mercy
could have used
pen?
instead of solo cups that could probably have been even better? Go up to the house and knock on and say, do you have some Tupperware? Do you have some glass? Do you have something that's not plastic containers in an unsterile environment?
we all see at backyard barbecues.
Yep, they hold liquid terrifically.
They're also not sealed, correct?
They are not.
They're also not used normally. I mean, they were here. They're not normally used for evidence collection, correct?
Oh, absolutely not.
I love the certainty you said that with.
Transport that very important biological material back to Canton PD for storage and safety, right?
That's correct.
And why was it important to transport that blood material? What are the factors that you considered, weight and balance, in terms of getting that material back to Canton PD in good condition, sanitary condition?
So a criminalist could extract a proper DNA sample.
What would happen, for instance, if that blood material, I don't know, were contaminated?
Contaminated how?
You tell me. You're the professional.
So DNA is pretty hardy, pretty forensically stable. The only things that are going to harm it are radiation, ultraviolet light, harsh chemicals such as bleach.
Or cross-contamination.
Then you would have two sets of DNA when it's tested,
Moisture.
which would benefit you.
Well, depends on whose DNA it is.
That's correct. That's correct.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, we've also learned that red solo cups hold liquid great.
Let me stay on this for a second. So obviously, there's
Yeah,
a
the
reason
blue ones
why
are kind of smooshy.
blood swabs,
Not good.
biological swabs are handled with such care. For instance, the DNA analyst is going to put on gloves.
Correct.
Oftentimes, they're going to put on a mask. Right?
I don't know about that.
Oftentimes, they put on goggles. Is that right?
It depends what they're testing.
Right. But when you go out and collect something, you'll see CSI, crime scene investigators, in full body suits when they
Sure.
walk into a crime scene.
Yeah, you can.
Because you don't want to contaminate the scene with your own hair off your arm or an eyelash falling into a blood stain, correct?
That's correct.
Right. So there are protocols. And you said just a second ago, Gallagher, well, it's DNA. Unless somebody pours bleach in it, they're pretty much golden, right? That's not quite the fact.
And that's not quite what I said.
No, it's not quite what you said. You were suggesting that it's hardy enough that it wouldn't matter
No, no, no.
Is contaminated or not. If there's
No, that's
multiple
exactly
DNA,
what you were
so-
I
implying.
simply asked
Yeah.
what you meant by contamination.
Okay, so it could be contaminated with debris, is that right?
Sure, it can.
It could be contaminated with other people's DNA, is that right?
It can.
It could be contaminated with foreign items, foreign either aerosols or somebody's spittle when you're talking, correct?
Sure.
You can contaminate with 1,000 things.
Hypothetically,
Right. Of course, these solo cups didn't have lids on them, right?
they did not.
They were open.
Yes.
You didn't photograph where you picked up the samples.
No.
You didn't document where you picked up the samples.
No.
So if the samples were in 6, how many solo cups were there?
6.
6 solo cups. We don't know as we sit here where each of those solo cups contents came from specifically, do we?
Specifically,
He was called a Yahtzee over on Cafe Daffy's channel.
no.
Okay. Then those
And a
solo cups
masochist.
with no lids were placed into a
Misogynist.
bag, right?
That's correct.
You said on
Ah,
Not a
damn it.
masochist.
was
It was
a brown paper bag, right?
misogynist. Damn it, damn it, damn it.
Stop and Shop, I believe.
And you said that
Damn it.
that Stop and Shop bag is, other than having the words Stop and Shop on it versus evidence on it, basically the one and the same thing.
Same dimensions, made out of the same materials. Yes.
Right. But with an evidence bag, you know exactly where it came from and who's handling it.
Not necessarily.
Comes from a manufacturer
Sure.
whose job it is to secure those bags so that they are not mishandled, so they can have some sort of bona fides that they're clean and ready to accept evidence. In, say, for instance, I don't know, the investigation of a homicide of a police officer. Important stuff, right?
We're not at a homicide of a police officer at this point.
I'm just talking about evidence bags.
It doesn't change procedure, you fucking moron. Oh, this was a bar fight. Okay, so we need Jiffy Lube bags for this one because it's just a bar fight. Oh, this one is a potential medical examination. Let's bring out the Stop and Shop. Oh, this is a homicide. Now we get the fancy bags.
Trader Joe.
Well, you know, Baker, once as long as they get as much of the investigation done before it's declared a homicide, then they don't have to work as hard. They don't have to go back and do the homicide aspect of the investigation. They've already done that.
Yeah, because when they're then asked later, did you collect it? No, because at the time we were collecting for a medical emergency, so we didn't need to do DNA testing or anything. It was just a
Exactly.
I have a question. How far what must you be stuffed into your own behind to say all of these things out loud and say, I did a great job. No, I didn't document a thing. No, did you find where are those 6, cups? No idea. Look, I don't write reports. Actually, I want this man's job. Look, I don't write reports. I make crazy ideas and I don't explain myself. This man is a woman.
Brendan, he wasn't dead. He wasn't pronounced dead, even though he was pronounced dead 10 minutes before this Joker arrived at the scene.
Evidence bags in general. In other words, I'm trying to think about some of the most important investigations around. The manufacturers of those evidence
It was
bags
on his sleeve.
manufacture them and send them in a way so that they're bona fides, that the provenance of those bags is maintained, correct, and protected.
That's the way they ship them, yes.
Right. And Kenton PD pays extra money for those bags for that very purpose.
I'm sure they do, yes.
You mentioned almost tongue in cheek. Look, except for the price, they're probably pretty close.
Yes.
There's a reason that there's a price difference, right?
What would the reason? What's the reason?
Well, it's not the shop. I will pay 10 cents.
Yeah.
But that bag is not really good. Who's where it's been or who's handling it, right? It's got my note and my exit. Really don't care.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how they price it because of how they package it. I don't have any knowledge of that.
Well, you want to mention the price.
Oh, no. Yeah, I agree with you on that.
I'm sorry, we're speaking over each other. Okay.
I apologize.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gallagher. You gotta wait.
Yep.
There's a reason.
Get to the
I want
microphone.
there's a reason, right?
Yes.
That evidence bags are more expensive because there is a way they're manufactured and they're taken care of, and Canton PD is willing to pay that extra price, like every other law enforcement agency, because of that. Correct? All right. So they're not quite the same, are they?
No.
Those solo cups were placed in the evidence bag uncovered.
Yes.
The evidence bag was then placed in Sergeant Lank's vehicle.
It was closed and Sergeant Lang transported it to his vehicle. Yes.
Okay. When you say closed, you mean the top of it was rolled up?
Correct.
Or folded over?
Correct.
Okay. It wasn't forensically sealed.
Not at that time, no.
There was no evidence tape that went on it.
Not at that time, no.
Matter of fact, the cups were still open and could slosh around.
Yes.
Assuming they melted.
Yes.
There's liquid blood and liquid water, like
That's correct.
snow.
That's correct.
And you indicated that those were at least you believe, those were placed in an evidence locker, temporary evidence locker, correct?
No, the blood samples were put in a refrigerated unit.
My mistake. I thought the refrigerator was the temporary storage locker. It's different?
Yes, lockers are not refrigerated. That's where the glass would go into a locker.
Okay. This was placed into an evidence refrigerator.
That's correct.
That was to maintain the integrity of the sample, the biological sample inside the cups, correct?
That's correct.
You have an evidence log of that.
I don't know.
You've never seen an evidence log.
This is like me explaining how we got given a slow and French goose and a three-legged pig to my husband. Well, they were just there. Did you arrange
I
for
removed
them to be
myself,
here?
so I know they were.
It's the same as a regular pig. It's just
On
only got
February
3
1st.
legs.
It's a slimmed down version of pig.
On January 29th. I'm just asking, let me ask a foundational question. Does Canton PD maintain something called evidence logs?
I don't know the answer to that. I'm not the evidence officer.
No.
There is, it's all computerized.
Right.
So like I explained earlier, when they do get logged in, the officer puts the description of the property, hits the space bar, and the computer generates an evidence number.
Right.
And
I wasn't asking you if you made up the number.
just that piece of
Doofus.
evidence, correct?
And every time it's checked out or put back in, there is a log created, correct?
Yeah, they do it by computer, yes.
It's a digital fingerprint.
Correct.
All right. I mean, you're a former narco specialist, right?
Mhm.
You did narcotics for years, right?
I did.
Drugs, about the most sensitive thing out there, right? I mean, you get a bottle of fentanyl. You're not just going to set it on the
course.
evidence on its desk. You're going to make sure that damn thing gets logged exactly how it's supposed to, correct?
Of course.
Because it needs to have trace of where it goes and who touches it and who has it.
And let me just remind you all, they did an audit of this police department and came out with, I believe the sentence was, it was an ingenious way of utilizing the leaf blower to search the crime scene.
Are you sure you didn't read imbecilic wrong?
In an evidence log for these items that were taken
Did they
from-
pronounce
They
imbecilic?
actually also, if I remember correctly, it's been a while since I looked at it, claimed that using solo cups and the Jiffy Lube was okay. It wasn't police normal procedure, but in the situation.
for Fairview, and supposedly,
Okey-dokey.
well, not supposedly, because you took them out, and ultimately went into a refrigerated evidence locker.
Yeah, I wouldn't have access to the evidence log. Our evidence room is a very strict process. There's only 2 people that can even have access to the permanent, once it goes into permanent evidence. And it's the admin sergeant that changes the custody when it comes out for court, if an item has to come out for court, or it has to be transported to another agency, or if an officer needs it removed from evidence for further inspection, the admin sergeant would take care of that.
That's the way it's.
Mr. Jackson, you're not going to finish today, right?
No, I'm
In
not.
2 minutes?
Two questions, and I'm also.
All right, 2 questions.
Thank you. That's the way it's supposed to work, correct?
Yes.
But you've never, as you sit here, you've never seen an evidence log determining where that blood went and who was handling it between January 29th and February 1st.
I have never seen an evidence log.
That's all I had, at least at this time.
All right, Lieutenant, when I have you come back tomorrow morning,
Thank you.
the jury files, I think, file.
Thank you.
So jury's that's it for today, the same 3, 4, 5.
Let's just see.
Please, see.
They're taking a sidebar. Child support from Michigan. So they're having a sidebar. Paul and his new beau. Allegedly unconfirmed, there was a motion in court that the defense raised to have Paul O'Balls stop glaring at in that way, in that threatening manner. And she didn't move him instantly, but moved him later because she caught him in the act. So
He did it the whole.
he did
first
it in
trial.
entire first trial, but again, if you don't file a motion, he didn't do it. But that's apparently why he has been moved, because the defense filed a motion to have him stop doing it. Not confirmed. It's not on the record, so I can't confirm that it's actually ruled on. But I have sent Marissa and Jemima to try and see if they can rustle up something.
Awesome.
I can't stand that guy. That guy drives me absolutely apeshit.
There is nothing that bothers me more, nothing that burns my biscuits more than a stupid and incompetent person, very confident and arrogant about their stupidity. Might be why I don't like Plevin.
The big problem is his arrogance.
That's the problem.
So you put it in in a red Solo cup. Yeah, it's a great container. Yeah, but it's not sealed. It's not sterile. It's not nothing. But it holds liquid real well.
And what is the inability to answer simple questions? What about cross-contamination? Well, what are you talking about? DNA's hardy.
I think I saw on the tweets that his last paycheck was $300,000 a year.
That makes sense.
That's just stupid
$300,000
enough to be
because he's
Canton.
ingenious in his use of cost-saving methods for the police. Again, when you have officers like this getting paid, what is it? How much is the president of America makes?
I think he makes $400K.
Yeah, this guy makes 3/4 of a president's salary. You have to cut a corner here and there. And Jiffy Lube bags, hey, you get your VD40 and your whatever, your bag of bite into a Slim Jim. And then you can use it as evidence. It's really ingenious. 300,000. That's more than Bev gets. Yeah. It's insane that you have regular officers walking around and pulling home those numbers. And I know it's overtime. That I can't prove it. I don't know enough about American pay systems. But in Denmark, if you work for either a company or you work for the public, if you rack up all of this overtime, you'll just have forced days off. This seems like such a racket where they can just, I'll rack up some overtime, and they end up being paid more than a CEO of middle-sized company. Why isn't they forced to take a month's vacation? Oh, we need them on the force. Why? These people are highly incompetent. None of these people, as we have seen in this case, should ever have risen above foot patrol.
No, but why pay a cop time and a half or overtime instead of hiring more police officers if you really are that short-staffed? Although who wants to work in Canton? I can see why recruitment is down.
Well, they tried to recruit people, but they weren't corrupt enough, so they had to go. They weren't going with the flow, if you know what I'm saying. So they had to get out.
Yeah.
Couldn't do that.
I thought I saw that, was it 50% dropout rate from the academy and 25% of new officers stopped within the first 2 years?
That's
I
crazy.
think I saw that something like that. Yeah, the pensions apparently is quite good up there as well.
Well, yeah, it's based on, if it's anything like the military, it's based on your last X years in service. So in the military, they take your last 3 years and take your pay and use that to figure out your retirement. I'm assuming the police force is the same way. They'll take your last 3 or 5 years at lieutenant pay, and his overtime being X, he made so much a year, and that's probably what his pension's based off of.
We should have known Canton was stupid when he was hired as a permanent temporary officer. We should have realized it was done and dumb because they don't understand what words mean. A permanent temporary officer.
But also unions in Denmark, because they have a lot of power here, they have these agreements that companies can send you on, it's not furlough, but comp pay or comp time off. So you can make an agreement and say, hey, we're going to have a lot of overtime in December. In my job, we would have a lot of overtime in December. And we won't be able to pay it out. So you'll have to take time off in the new year. And you can say, well, then I'm not going to do any overtime. Or you can say, well, I specifically always said I'll do all the overtime, but I want it written that I get the payout because it can sometimes be a lot of money. And other people said, well, I'll take 2 weeks off in January. I'll take an extra vacation. I was home enough with my ex-wife. I didn't need that. So I would rather have the money. But we have in our agreements with the union, you have these rules that you can say, okay, I'll have it paid out. I'll take the comp time, or the company can say, well, you can only get overtime if you take the comp time. You will not get paid for it. So, well, you'll get your normal salary, but you'll normally have, like in Denmark, the first 2 hours is plus 50%, and then it's plus 100% for the rest of it. But you will then you will have an agreement saying, well, maybe you can get 50% of it paid out, and the rest of it you will have to comp, or you can make. But the union has an agreement where the company can say, we can't pay that much, but if you want to work, we will let you go in January and take vacation days instead. It's cheaper to give them overtime. It can't in any way be cheaper, because if you have overtime, you pay overtime based on their salary, and we're talking about 20-year veterans on the force. It would be way cheaper and every officer at that bracket had a shit ton of overtime. You could hire 5 new detectives for the amount of money you paid to keep these old geezers on overtime. It's basically 70% of salary in perpetuity, inflation adjusted, if I remember. Oh, that's a pretty good job. Back in the day, we had
Not
something
signing up to be a canton officer.
Well, we still have it in some jobs, but we have what's called like civil service pensions. Those were the great ones. They kept their salary till they died. The rest of us have to pay in, or we'll just get the people's pension that everyone get, and that's like $800 a month or something. Can't live off of that. Didn't Boston PD have a big overtime scandal? Yeah, they did. We talked about that in the first trial as well. And I just see it as it's that underhanded way to pay some of the good guys, say, well, I'll just write on, you had 10 hours of overtime. Who checks it? Who makes sure they did those 10 hours? I don't know. Yeah, they could have 3 new recruits, what they pay him in overtime. Of course, he has some special knowledge, but he doesn't need that. They don't have that many murders that he has to go and check.
Chad, do you think that some new recruit would have come up with the leaf blower idea? Come on now. That takes years of experience.
That's
30
years on the force.
Single-handedly, make Canton drug-free, but his, backroom deal with the booze barons mean that everyone's now drunk.
I just can't with these. Every time we get to these police officers, who is the most inept people in the world, who thinks this is the 3-incher in the locker room, who thinks it's a 10-incher. They walk around with so much suasion, and in reality, they don't have anything to have all that confidence in.
How much compare and contrast is going on in the locker rooms? Like, you guys, is it just like a glance and like, better than him? Awesome.
No, you don't look around. You just use your eyes.
Well, you look with your eyes, not your hands, as I tell my boys.
Oh my God.
That's in reference to Hobby Lobby, not their pieces and parts, though I have yelled about that before too.
Well, it shouldn't, but it's Bev's room, so almost 100% suasion. That's a lot of suasion. But no, it's ridiculous. Tomorrow I will be in court in Denmark. I should be home. I can't even remember what I think it's just to pass sentence on someone. I have a few outstanding cases.
Just in case you were curious, my chat poll was, is it a clip-on tie? 75% said yes. 75% believe that to be a clip-on tie.
Well, I didn't ask my chat because 75% of my chat wouldn't be wrong.
Oh, that guy drives me nuts.
Yeah. But I'm thinking we will be starting on time or a slightly delay. But as always, we will catch up before the end of the day, and I'll have to go mete out some justice, Danish style, which will be, oh, too bad for you. Can I give you a social security check?
I am Valhalla Awaits. We have a 24-hour goat cam in operation, and you are all more than welcome to come in there, hang out, and enjoy the baby goats, watch them as they grow. Yesterday, we got to do a goat walk, which we haven't done in a couple of weeks, and it was pretty good. Go check that out if you are curious about the goat walks. We get to look around the property, and my yard's pretty, y'all. It's pretty. It's getting green for the summer. Otherwise, I don't think I have anything scheduled.
And if you watch his goat walks, you can see his massive bundle of sticks.
I've got the best stick collection on YouTube, hands down. Hands down.
Hey, I'm Mo from Mo in the Deep End, and in the morning at 8 a.m. when you're waiting for trial to start, I do a collection of headline news, true crime news, and absurd news. Like today, we learned that you cannot take Colombian marching powder into Disney, though I think they should use that as an excuse for all of their current movies.
You can take it into the White House. You can't take it into Disney. That's some bullshit.
Yeah.
not
that's
the
discrimination.
Although, if there is any place you need to be enhanced, I would think it would be at the parks.
Right?
So basically, if I get more claws, I can do whatever I want tomorrow while you aren't here. Deal. Well, the stream won't start till I'm here. So yeah, you can do whatever you want till I'm here. Because as I just said, we might start a little bit later, but I think I will be home in time to start. I don't think so. But let's get out of here. Let's get to bed. It's 10:30. Or, as we say in the real world, 22:28.
10! Misreads.
Yes.
10! 10! 10! 10!
Get cut and dry. Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right? Pretty simple. Just pin it on the girl, right?
Objection.
Pretty simple.